Good morning. Hopefully you guys can see me. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're live. All right, lots going on today. I think we're bottoming. We'll probably really get confirmation of that tomorrow when we have NVIDIA earnings. But I do think we're bottoming. I'm glad I leaned in yesterday with MSTX and Tesla and ARKG and can't remember what else. Today, let's see. Today, TLT is up 1%, so that should be a good look in the portfolio. I'm probably not going to access any of that today. I pulled a couple 100,000 over the last several days, so I want to leave that alone. If anything, I'm going to sell MicroStrategy, and I'm going to use that to lever into maybe MSTX and maybe more clean spark calls. And yeah, that's what I bought yesterday. And then also maybe ARKG again too, just to diversify the wealth a little bit. I do want to play something though. So if you didn't know this, we actually had an attack from China on a Taiwanese cable, one of a few that connects Taiwan to mainland China. You can see some of the cables over here, and they're also, Chinese military is doing live fire exercises in the Gulf of Tonkin after Vietnam announced a new line marking territorial claims in the body of water 4 days ago. Also, the only area that the U.S. government has not, it says U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has exempted U.S. security programs for Taiwan and Philippines from temporary global USA freeze. So again, we're still giving these guys money with good reason. You can see the ship that was boarded by Taiwan, and the vessel has been confiscated along with the crew. So this is like something we should probably be paying attention to from a geopolitical standpoint. But there's also a lot of good stuff going on today too, so we'll try and cover that. I do need to move this. This is in the wrong location, so let's put this under Tesla, not China. There's actually a timely video that talks about these undersea cables and why they're important. And so I want to touch upon that real quick too. So we're just going to listen to a quick video from CNBC, and then we'll jump over to U.S. economic data, Bitcoin, Tesla, probably with primary focuses today, and then keep rolling. But yeah, TLT so far doing a good job being that hedge that we wanted it to be. Let's get going. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody in chat.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. Our next guest says that the AI economy is subject to a massive vulnerability, and that is the ocean. Writing that the subsea cables that channel the two elements foundational of the AI economy, data and power, face ever-increasing dangers. Joining us right now to talk.
It's a good thing Starlink is beefing up and beefing up and beefing up. They're going to make a comment in here about latency issues. Those are becoming less and less and less. And again, Starlink doesn't resolve all the problems, but when you have ground terminals too that are also connected to Starlink satellites, you can really change a lot and make it to where we're much more interconnected and we're not as dependent upon this stuff. So I do think this is a huge advantage for SpaceX and Starlink in the future, but let's listen.
Talk about it. Jared Cohen is the president of global affairs at Goldman Sachs, co-head of Goldman Sachs Global Institute, is also a former CEO of Google's Jigsaw. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
This one actually surprised me because I hadn't spent a lot of time thinking about cables under the ocean and the ocean being a problem for AI. So explain it.
Well, I'm surprised you don't spend your time thinking about undersea cables, Andrew. Look, for all the talk about AI infrastructure and global trade, 80% of trade moves across the ocean, and 95% of data flows underneath the ocean across 750,000 miles of undersea cables. So to put that in perspective, that's enough to go around the Earth 30 different times. So that's instant messaging. That is $10 trillion of daily financial transactions, offshore power, and of course, national secrets. You have 150 different cable breaks already every single year. But the geopolitical tensions and state-sponsored as well as non-state-sponsored breaking of cables is going to increase the scale and ferocity and frequency of these attacks.
So who is breaking the cables, do we think?
Well, so I'll give you a couple examples. So this past November, a Chinese vessel dragged one of its anchors 100 miles in the Baltic Sea, severing a cable between Sweden and Lithuania that also connected Finland and Germany.
And you believe they did this on purpose or by accident?
I mean, it would be quite a coincidence to drag an anchor 100 miles, and then just a month later, a Russian vessel, as part of the sort of Russian ghost fleet, did a similar action that severed a cable that connected Finland from Estonia, and it actually had to get seized by Finnish.
So again, the Russians and the Chinese have already been using this as a technique, and now we had an underground cable in Taiwan severed.
Authorities.
This all seems to be
Dude, Karp's book is so good. If you guys haven't read The Technological Republic, I guess I have it sitting on a chair over here. You need to read it. It says a lot about just what's wrong with the West, and also too what we need to prepare for in the years ahead. It's a really good book. Really good book. I loved it. I liked it about as much as Elon's biography, and that's saying a lot.
Benefit Elon Musk in the end, right? Wouldn't you just want to go to the skies?
So the question of can satellite technology kind of offer an alternative? It's a logical place to jump. The technology is not there yet. The latency, would still be an issue. So yes, we may end up there, but for the time being, we're still going to rely on a technology that was first laid in the ocean in the 1850s.
Do you lay new cable when that happened? You don't go to. You can't fix the cable.
No, you can fix the cable.
How far down is it?
Well, and so it can go down as far as 5 miles.
But so what happens? Divers go down there? How does this work?
No,
so you have, so it's actually very interesting. The multilateral architecture for fixing these cables was set before this heightened tech competition between the U.S. and China.
Could you pull both sides up and fix it?
Well, so the ocean's divided up into different zones. So if a U.S.-owned cable breaks in a China zone, then it's a Chinese maintenance ship that deals with the repairs of the cable.
I don't care about all this. Anyway, I just wanted to touch upon that point. So we do have some threats that need to be monitored, but we also have a lot of really good stuff going on. So we'll get to the good stuff now that we've talked about the bad stuff. So bad stuff, China preparing for war, but we've known about that for a while. Good stuff is really good. So I do want to focus. Let's go to the U.S. economic data first. And this is okay. So James E. Thorne, again, all he's looking at is M2 money supply, but he's saying that it's continuing to go up, and that's what matters. I partially agree with that. I do agree that Michael Howell probably is a little bit more nuanced in regard to global liquidity, and that his approach is probably the better one. And that's probably why we've seen some of this pocket too, where we've seen, shit coins, Bitcoin, miners, growth stocks that have really excelled, like the Palantirs, the HIMs, all these others just get crushed. HIMs dropping 43% in a very short period of time. So I do think we need to monitor global liquidity. Also, there's a short little post from Kathy Wood where she had talked about, I think it's about 3 weeks ago, they'd come up with their thesis too, where they talked about Q1 being a little bit light and having some problems with liquidity, and just, again, everything that's being done within the Trump administration causing some pain in the very early part of this year, and then it getting a lot better later. And I totally agree with that approach. I've kind of been parroting the same thing. Value Maxi says, I got Capital Wars and Soft Wars recently. Carp book next. Nice, man. Those are all good reads. I did want to talk about this real quick, though. Apple's investment in the United States is a pretty big one. Again, it's over 4 years. But it's that magical $500 billion. I believe in this one way more than I do the SoftBank, Stargate, Sam Altman, OpenAI thing. I really don't have a lot of faith that that's going to go anywhere. But I do believe that Apple committing $500 billion is a pretty big deal. And so this is 50% more than Trump's first term, 20,000 new jobs across multiple states, new AI server factory in Houston, thousands of jobs. Apple is now the largest customer of TSMC's $12 billion Arizona chip plant, doubling U.S. Advanced Manufacturing Fund to $10 billion, and expanding research and development, AI, and silicon engineering nationwide. And this is just one of many companies that are starting to do this. Australia, I was just listening to a little bit of a video earlier where they were talking about how they're looking to expand and do a bunch of business in the United States too. So I think this is really important stuff that we're seeing for the economy that's building up. But again, there can be some pockets. Real quickly too, I believe yesterday we were on the edge of extreme fear. I don't know if we'll be there again this morning. We're getting a little bit of bounce, not so much in the crypto and Bitcoin sector. Those are still hurting. And I'm seeing like Robinhood down almost 4% in pre-market. So that's still hit pretty hard too, along with some others. But I do think we're near that extreme fear zone, which is normally when you buy. Can we get more pain with NVIDIA earnings tomorrow? If they miss for some reason, I could see a lot of pain still coming, and I could see that final flush out. So my mind right now is saying that we're at a bottom. If you look in the bottom right corner, you'll see with Bitcoin too, it kind of looks like it's hitting a bottom. It's bouncing off the 50. Well, I guess that's the 50 on the daily. That's not super helpful, just the way I have the view. So let's look here. So really, it's just bouncing off of what is a trend line down here that also kind of looks like a channel or could be construed as a bull flag. So It looks good. It is bouncing off of that. That's what we want to see. We want to see it go even higher and get back above this fib level around the 91.5 level. That would be nice. That would just be another wick up after trying to test lower. We'd love to see it. But again, this zone, so I'm looking at this as we're near the bottom. And could it go lower? Yes. If it does, though, it'll be like one final impulse. That's the way I'm looking at the markets right now and thinking about them. I do want to check real quickly with the CME Fed Watch tool. I just want to see if this has changed at all. So again, March, 4.5%. So we got a doubling of the chance of a rate cut. Still pretty low. Not great odds. But May, let's see what we're at. Almost 30%. So we're getting closer to that 30%. So we got a 1 out of 3 chance of actually getting a rate cut in May. And I think those odds are only going to improve. I think we're set to get a rate cut in May. I think it's like guaranteed. Todd Gleason says, unqualified people are warning me about the stock market now. I treat that as a bottom. Oh, that's always helpful. When you get confirmation from people that are really scared that the market's going to fall apart, that's actually like a really good bottom signal, especially if they don't pay attention to what's going on and they're starting to see news headlines and they think that now is the time to freak out. That's a good indicator, actually. So real quickly, so we do have U.S. data. We just have Redbook, nothing big there. We got home price stuff, nothing big there. I think we talked about this yesterday. We got consumer confidence. I mean, I guess that's going to be interesting. Then Richmond Fed. So really the good stuff comes in at 9 and 9:30. So I might make this a longer one today. I've actually got a really big day. I was supposed to meet with my nutritionist and personal trainers, Rob and his wife too. I don't know if that's going to happen. Yeah, so today's going to be a long day. Maybe we'll stick around till 9:30, 2 hours and 20 minutes from now, just to see how all this plays out. But it's going to be pretty filled today with economic data. And again, the big thing is going to be how we do tomorrow with NVIDIA earnings. But I wanted to say Banana 3 here, he loves looking at the McClellan oscillator. And he's right. I mean, when you look at this, when we're down, like in these really oversold zones, they tend to be great places to dollar cost average. And I 100% agree with this. And the last time I agreed with him, it bounced like crazy. So this is a good area for that to happen. Let me go down further here. Right here, Kathy Wood. So I said we'd talk about this tomorrow in the market open. So let's talk about it now. So real quick, I'll just show a couple of charts and then we'll read through just a little bit of this. So you can see velocity of M2 money supply, just like our friend James E. Thorne from Canada was talking about, has been going up. But it could be having a short-term pause. That's why I wanted to show this one. It could roll over just a little bit over a short period of time. Not sure if that's already happened or if that is going to happen. But again, treat this as we're close to the bottom and you'll be fine. But not there, baby. Velocity of money. So this is the important part. The velocity of M2 money supply. And I did a pretty long thread about this a couple of weeks ago when she created this video. It was a beautiful video. It's linked in here. Definitely check it out. But you could see how for this year, the velocity of M2 money supply, which is important because really velocity of money is helpful for the economy, right? You want to see money cycling through the economy. If there's no velocity behind it, the money isn't cycling through it. That's the way you have to look at it. So what she's been saying is actually since about Q4, or actually I should say in the last year, that velocity has been slowing down. And a lot of that is due to uncertainty. But I'm not going to bastardize all of it. Let's read through it real quick here. There is a little bit of fluff in the beginning, but we'll try and get through it fast. Kathy said, during the uncertainty associated with the transition from Biden to Trump, the velocity of money is rolling over. Suggesting that monetary policy, I would argue that people were just scared about all the money printing in the end of the Biden presidency, and then the election was coming, and now you have a bunch of layoffs and threats of tariffs and all this other stuff. Lots of things creating downward pressure and velocity of money where people are just holding back, trying to figure out if they want to spend. Average people, like not us. Suggesting that monetary policy is tighter than the Fed may understand. I discussed this hypothesis in our In the Know webinar, and this was from a couple of weeks ago. That's down below. It says V can either turbocharge the impact of money on GDP, the velocity, as it did during COVID, or detract from money growth, as it's starting to do now. On a year-over-year basis, V growth peaked at 11% in 2022 and has dropped to 1%. During December, growth in M2 money supply was 3.9% year-over-year, so velocity growth added another 1%, taking nominally GDP growth to 5%. So again, lots of words. We're going to go past that for now. More important at the moment, velocity declined 1% sequentially from the third quarter to the fourth quarter and probably is depressing GDP growth in the first quarter, which makes sense. So again, we're getting a slowdown to Q1 because of people just being uncertain about what's happening. Velocity can drop if individuals and companies become uncertain, fearful, or cautious. Targeting waste, abuse, and remember this, the CFOs, remember all the comments about the CFOs? They're super excited about what's happening with Trump getting elected, but they're probably some of them are cautiously sitting on the sidelines trying to determine, okay, we're like past the hump. Is it okay? Am I going to get fired if I start spending money, if I start hiring, if we start expanding? So again, just there's a lag time associated with that too. I think there's people already doing this. We're seeing it all over the place. People investing in America and getting excited about the age of abundance. But let's keep going. So again, we saw this depression of GDP growth in the first quarter. Velocity can drop if individuals and companies become uncertain, fearful, or cautious. Targeting waste, abuse, and fraud in government, DOGE has put federal government employees on notice and on edge, but the impact could be much more pervasive. Federal government employment accounts for 1.9% of total employment in the U.S., but state and local governments, education, healthcare, and social services account for 28%. So almost 1/3 of local government, education, healthcare, and social services account for or 1/3 of GDP. In other words, today, nearly 1/3 of labor force and perhaps their families could be holding back on spending until they see the impact of these rapid policy changes. So we talked about this yesterday, right? And we've been talking about it for a while. Right now, people are seeing the stick. They're not seeing the carrot, okay? So they're seeing the, holy shit, all these jobs are getting let go. This is painful. What is going on? Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my job for what's happening at the federal level with DOGE? Is that going to impact me in some way? We've got business with government contractors. So all they're seeing is the stick right now. In the future, again, probably around May, or maybe they get excited in April, they're going to start to see the carrot. They're going to see the no tax on tips. They're going to see the no tax on Social Security. They're going to see the lowered corporate tax rate. They're going to see lowered energy prices. They're going to see no taxes on overtime. They're going to see all these positive things, okay? If you're talking about options for $37, I don't know. They could be cooked. That's why I'm buying the 25 strike now. So right now, nothing but bad. The second, I would argue, maybe even Q2 of this year, March, April, we'll start to have some positivity once we get past tax time, once people start to hear that we're going to have a bill that starts to do these things. Anyway, let's keep going. So spending until they see the impact of rapid policy changes. While we believe the changes will be net positive for the economy, perhaps massively so, the short-term uncertainty is palpable. After benefiting from preemptive buying in the fourth quarter to get ahead of tariff hikes, Walmart shocked the market last week by lowering guidance for same-store sales growth in 2025 to 3 to 4%, 30% below its 5% gain in 2024. So again, they went from 5% to 3 to 4%. I believe that the U.S. has entered the last stage of a rolling recession that has been in place since the Fed hiked rates by a record-breaking amount, 24-fold, in a little more than a year, starting in 2022. I think it was 2021, whatever. The consumer is the last sector to succumb as the administration succeeds in pushing funding from the federal sector to state and local governments. Economic growth should begin to rebound during the second half of this year. I actually think that the market will front run that. As a result, interest rates are likely to surprise on the low side of expectations in the short term while the Trump administration puts in place in policies that eventually will increase consumer and business confidence. They are likely to unleash the animal spirits and productivity that have been building thanks to breakthroughs in robotics, energy storage, AI, blockchain technology, and multiomics sequencing. Turbocharged by AI, real growth should accelerate significantly from the 3% in place since 1900 during the next 5 years. We believe that after recent downside volatility, equity markets soon will look beyond short-term uncertainty and reward strategies exposed to truly transformative innovation. So this has been my thesis for a while now. And I think that this is what's going to happen. Am I buying more MSTX today? I probably am. I'm probably going to sell some MSTR and get some Clean Spark 25 strike calls because I feel a little underexposed to those because I don't love my 37 strikes right now. So I want to ensure that if Clean Spark does get a solid bounce, that I'm able to benefit with a lower target. But also, I think that MSTX is probably going to be a good one too. But again, you got to be ready for the big wick down. You got to be ready for that. So I wouldn't Wouldn't blow all your ammo today. Again, I got about 500,000, probably more today in TLT, especially with it being up almost 1% on the day. But I don't plan on spending that. So I want to rob from Peter to pay Paul for now and leverage in using that. All right. Let me see here real quick. Why so bullish on CleanSpark? I'm not really that bullish on CleanSpark. It's just incredibly undervalued. I mean, all the miners are. This is the one I have calls in. And so I'm just playing with what I already have. But it's down. CleanSpark is down 65% from where it was at its peak in March. So it's incredibly undervalued, in my opinion, at $2.5 billion market cap. And the calls are really, really cheap because they've just been crushed. So that's why I'm interested in CleanSpark. It's just working with what I already have and what I already know. Isn't Mara below spot BTC? I don't know what you mean. Oh, for their holdings? Yeah, probable. Yeah, that's possible. I don't even know. Yeah, I don't even know. I'd have to look. It's possible. They have a lot of Bitcoin. And again, all these miners are operating at a discount. All right. Dylan Hastings, no chance in my opinion. I think BTC reclaims 92, 95 today. I don't know if it does that. I don't think that there's too much uncertainty. I don't think it's today. I think we have to see what happens with NVIDIA tomorrow. I did say this. The housing market has been cracked for 2.5 years. So the Kobayashi letter, again, kind of a bear, said 73,000 homes were delisted. It says the housing market is showing some cracks. I mean, really? It hasn't been doing that already. But it says 73,000 homes were delisted in December after they failed to attract buyers for the first time. Buyers, the highest in 9 years. Well, okay, that's good though, right? Because people are asking too much for the homes. The prices are still way too elevated, and we need rates to come down and we need home prices to come down. So I think this is actually probably a good sign that people are kind of giving up on selling their house. And then if prices start to go lower, I think they'll be like, if we're going to sell, we should fucking sell now. And that's so what I think. Actually, I think that this is a good thing. I think this is a positive sign for the housing market, not a negative one. But again, it just depends on the lens that you look through. Manny247, thank you very much for the 50, my friend. The CleanSpark calls are looking really juicy. Could you give some confidence on the July date? Why not later? I don't want to go later than July. They do have, I think might be a September contract. I don't know. You could look. That might work. I don't want to go to December or January because then you'd be going past historical timeframes for every cycle that Bitcoin has existed and miners have existed. So you don't want to be past, you don't want to have your target date be past that because the chance of a payout is almost non-existent. So I'd rather be a little bit shorter term. This is probably the only time you'll see that. Good news, we did check Fort Knox. The bad news is we don't have a lot of gold. The good news is the eggs are safe. So we found out what Biden did with them. So rest assured, everything is okay. Elon, shift workers to manufacturing to revive the U.S. economy. So there's a deliberate thing here. It's not just getting rid of governmental workers. It's trying to push towards manufacturing. So it says America's economy is stuck because too many people are shuffling paperwork and bloated government jobs instead of actually building things in a high productive industries. Elon's solution, less bureaucracy, more manufacturing. What really matters for improving America's standard of living, quote, is shifting people from low productivity jobs in government to high productivity jobs in industry. Many more people needed in manufacturing. This is probably smarter than what Joe Biden was trying to do, where he told a bunch of coal miners that they should get a job in tech and learn how to program. I think this is more realistic, taking a bunch of paper pushers and being like, you need to work in this manufacturing job and help build things. Right? I think that's probably more realistic. He said many more people are needed for manufacturing. For decades, outsourcing and deindustrialization have turned the U.S. from a manufacturing powerhouse into a service economy stuck in slow motion. Elon argues that reviving industry is the way to stop the decline because, let's face it, an economy built on endless meetings and paperwork isn't going to cut it. I 100% agree with this comment. All right, let's see. I disagree with this conclusion. Stephen Cohen. The growth slowdown won't be in the USA. Yeah, okay. I don't even need to cover that one. That was kind of boring. And I was saying, this was yesterday. I was saying right now we're in a coin flip territory for which way the markets go. I still believe that. I believe the NVIDIA earnings are going to be insanely crucial. I said, but one thing I know, the potential for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine in the weeks ahead will be a huge positive for markets if it comes true. So if China doesn't invade Taiwan and we have this happen, I think it's a huge positive. Oil, again, I think oil's going to roll over. Today it's a little bit higher. So in this image, I don't even know what it's at, 70.16. Now it's 70.26. So it's real close. It's down about 1% on the day. I still think we're rolling over. Again, drill baby drill is right on the horizon. And we're trying to establish deals with Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, probably Russia if the war comes to an end. We're probably looking at massive tax breaks for companies that are expanding oil supply and building. I'm sure we'll figure out something for them. And again, that's probably all going to come in the omnibus reconciliation bill that's going to be pushing through the House and into the Senate between April and May. It'll start a little bit before that, but that's probably where it's going to get closer to getting finalized. And I just said from a technical perspective, this is in a descending triangle. This is not a good. If you're bullish oil, this is not a good look. This is about as good. This is a worse look than what Bitcoin looked like, and you can see what that's done, right? So this is not what you want to see if you're long oil. So do not be long oil. That's my take. Let me see if there's anything else I want to. I think I'm probably good here. There's a few others, but yeah, no, this is good. So I want to jump over here real quick. Let me see the U.S. economy. I'm probably going to jump maybe over here to Trump. So I do want to talk about this. So this hasn't happened yet, and this is a part where I think, again, the optimism is kind of out of the markets right now, but it should be in the markets. So listen to this.
As soon as I lift my hand from the Bible as your 47th president,
if that's too loud, let me know.
Border, shut down the invasion of millions and millions of people coming into our country, and we will start an energy revolution.
So people have forgotten about the energy revolution. How is the audio on that? I might have had some issues and had to adjust some things. If the audio was too loud, please let me know. But this is a thing I think people are forgetting, right? They're forgetting the fact that we're going a little loud. Okay, let me just adjust this just a hair. Audio's good? Okay, I won't adjust it too much then. Perfect for me. Okay. Yeah, so I think people are forgetting about this, right? They're forgetting about the fact that this is going to be happening and that it's very important and that it's going
more than anybody else,
and that it's going to be kicking in along with this omnibus bill. So all these positive things, lower energy prices, all the things that he's promising, are really going to kick in hard here in the next several months. But again, like Kathy Wood said, it makes sense that we have some kind of lull in the meantime where people are trying to figure out whether they're going to spend or not. And the economy, I've been saying this for a while, the global economy is slowing down. China is on the edge of a depression. You can't just ignore these facts. So there will be a lot of money printing in the future, but unlike what people showed this week, or maybe it was the end of last, where they showed their M2 money supply or M1 or whatever just doubling overnight, that wasn't actually real. So it's not like it's providing a lot of money into the system right now. He said tariffs are on track for Canada. Yeah, I can see that. One sec. All right. Sorry, saying goodbye to my kid. Yeah, so tariffs on track for Canada sounds awesome. There's going to be a lot. You guys got to remember, Scott Bessent said that they're going to be pushing a lot of tariffs. They're going to be pushing tariffs that are reciprocal for most nations. And again, with Canada and Mexico, there's a little bit of an exception there because we want to get rid of the fentanyl and the violent crime and the drug trade that are coming in through both sides of the border. And we want to probably add added pressure to Canada because we want to have a better relationship with them in the future. And so you squeeze them a little bit in the meantime. So if you're Canadian, we're just trying to force Trudeau out of office. So we apologize. Tyler Casamenti, I hate to say it, but Biden's markets were better. Yeah, I mean, that's a dumb way of looking at it. I'm sorry. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Oh, my God. Trump's been in president for over a month. We're almost 2 months in. Not great. The economy isn't great. The market's not doing what it should be doing. It's like, I don't know. Maybe give him more than 2 months, Tyler. Maybe more than 2 months. Maybe that's reasonable. Laura Loomer, isn't it funny how less than 2 weeks after U.S. aid was defunded, the majority of the leftist shows on CNN and MSNBC, MSTNC, just had their shows canceled today. They were literally subsidizing their multi-million-dollar salaries for the DEI commie propaganda with our tax dollars. All that's gone. We've got Karen Bass told President Trump to his face she would clear away all obstacles to rebuilding. I remember that. I played that interview on here. Now she's saying it's going to take 5 years to rebuild in California. This is just a total joke. There was also a phone call with her where she was talking about how she was going to take off either way, but they were definitely worried about the fires and there was nothing they could really do about them, but they were expecting some to come. So she's just a piece of shit. Yeah, there's going to be short-term pain. That's the whole point. The whole point is you got to have that, right? You can't cut spending. You can't do everything that we need to do to create sustainable government without having some short-term pain. And for Ukraine here, I said, this isn't about holding anyone accountable. I get so many people that are like, we need to hold Russia accountable. I said, it isn't about holding anybody accountable. It's about creating peace in Ukraine after 2 years of a meat grinder that's changed nothing on the front line. And I said, we have much bigger problems to address. So there's so many people that are like, oh no, we just can't leave Ukraine. It's like, no, we're trying to prevent, I don't know, 300 to 500 people a day dying on the front lines. I don't even know what the average is anymore. Maybe, hopefully it's lower. I don't know. I used to watch this stuff all the time for years, and I just got tired of it. Watching young people get blown up and beg for their lives in front of drones that are getting ready to drop a bomb on them and blow off their fucking leg. It's a little depressing. And so, again, I think that it's not about holding Russia accountable. It's about ending the fucking war because we have other stuff going on. And if people want to keep making this argument, I'm just going to stop arguing about it. I know what's coming, and hopefully smart people here know what's coming. The war is going to end, and we're going to help facilitate it. Trump is supposed to be signing more executive orders today. I don't know what they're about, but I'll keep an eye on them. And Rachel Maddow, this is so funny. So she talked about Joy Reid and she just basically, we're going to listen to the last couple of minutes on this. She basically shits on MSNBC, and she's going to be losing her job too. I think this entire organization's closing down. I think that statement up above that we just read is very true. I think all of this is falling apart.
It's a big deal for our country. It's very visceral for us here. I know that the business of the press is not an easy thing, and I know that no job is forever. But I think I'm safe in saying for all of us anchors who through the TV, please know that what pains us the most is not what happens to us. It is what happens to our coworkers on whom we depend and who you don't necessarily know, but we respect and love them and depend on them. And did I mention we respect them?
You did.
This is a difficult time in the news business, but it does not need to be this difficult. We welcome new voices to this place and some familiar voices to new hours. It's going to be great, honestly, and we want to grow and succeed and reach more people than ever and be resilient and stay here forever. I also believe, and I bet you believe, that the way to get there is by treating people well. Finding good people, good colleagues, doing good work with them, and then having their back. That we could do a lot better on. A lot.
See, she's just upset because her job's coming next. Data Republican said, yes, the global push. So I want to read this first. So Elon Musk said, it's not just about the borders being left open. So there was a survey. This was the Harvard-Harris survey. I like to say the Kamala Harris survey because it said Kamala was going to win the election. So take it with that. For a grain of salt as far as the results. So they're probably much higher than this. But it says majority, 52% of American voters believe that the Democrats kept the border open deliberately. Elon said it's not just the borders were left open. There was a massive concerted campaign to usher in as many illegals as possible at an unprecedented scale in order to achieve a permanent one-party rule. This is treason. And Data Republican, my favorite deaf chick, said, yes, the global push for open borders serves as a dual purpose, securing a permanent subject class that ensures the continued dominance of NGOs and entrenching the Democratic Party as a one-party system. However, the International Republican Institute also played a role in funding it. Isn't that fascinating? Why would establishment Republicans support this? Simple. They don't need to stay in office to benefit. As long as they vote the right way and say the right things, they secure lucrative post-political careers with these NGOs, often earning far more than they did in the public service sector. These people are fucking traitors. I've lost count of former Republican officials now working for NGOs with vague names containing words like security or democracy. Mass migration is self-sustaining. It cultivates a dependent class that remains loyal to the NGOs. Again, they want cheap labor, and they want a dependent class, and they want chaos. They don't want people that can rise up against them. And if you create disparate systems of people that are so diverse that they can't unite under one vision, then you have that permanent class, that subclass that you can control. Ensuring a perpetual cycle where these organizations manufacture crisis only they can solve. Meanwhile, the public focus is diverted from pressing domestic issues such as education and healthcare, and further solidifying the NGO's grip on power. 100% fucking agree with this. Jesse, how much fraud do you think was propping up the stock market? I know you don't like super chats, but instead you're. Yeah, I actually don't mind super chats. I don't like giving away memberships. Something different. But I actually think I wouldn't say propping up the stock market. There's definitely stocks that maybe got propped up because of it. I'd say propping up this cabal. And Elon said, we're spending $7 trillion a year. If 10% of that conservatively is fraud, that's $700 billion. I think the number is at least 20% between fraud and just gross negligence in government, at least 20%. So I think we can save $1.4 trillion per year, which would balance our budget and give us, $420.69 checks every month. And I think these things end up being really positive with the American people. So that's my take right now. Let me check economic data. Did we get a 730? I couldn't remember. No, just 8. Okay. So anyway, but I believe that was the plan, and it almost happened. And yeah, it's not going to. Real quickly, before I get to Mike Johnson, let's listen to, so we just got done listening to Rachel Maddow talk about her friend Joy Reid and how horrible things are getting and how freedom of expression and press is going away. Let's listen to her amazing friend Joy Reid talk about, diversity and inclusion and all that fun stuff. Let's just listen real quick.
White tears, particularly male white tears.
So she's sexist and racist. Cool.
Really white tears in general, because that's what Karens are, right? They Karen out
it gets
and
better.
as soon as it get caught. Freedom Waterworks. My show had value, and
her show had value. Her husband had to bring her some Kleenex to wipe the tears away.
I'm sorry.
But you know what? I would just say, just like the white male tears that you could care less about. Fuck this bitch. Fuck her. All right. Anyway, I love to see the meltdown. I don't like racist people. Okay. If you don't like black people, I don't like you. If you don't like Chinese people, I don't like you. If you don't like white people, I don't like you. It's pretty clear. It goes all ways. Racism, bad. Okay. Racism, bad. If you're a racist, you don't deserve to have a fucking voice on a news station telling people one side of the story. Sorry for your loss. Anyway, the words reconciliation and omnibus are going to be very important in the next several months. And so I just want to play something from Mike Johnson talking about that real quick.
I'm a small business owner from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My wife and I own a hospitality group with 6 restaurants, some small breweries, and 190 employees. It's super important to us to continue the tax cuts, and I know it is important to you as well. But there's some differences in opinion between the House and the Senate, and just Republicans, even in your House. What's your plan to try to bridge that gap so we can continue? As we need it. We need to keep hiring and growing, or we're dying. So what's your plan to bridge that gap?
Well, thanks, Mike, for the question, and thanks I know you did some heavy work there in Wisconsin, I'm sure. In this audience, if you're here, you were part of that, and that was huge. Wisconsin was a huge state for us this time around. So what we need to do, I'll give you a little more detail about reconciliation, because it sounds like a lofty concept, but the details really do matter here. What we need to do for small business owners like you is get government out of the way and give you certainty so that you can plan and invest appropriately so that you know what's going to happen happen 6 months from now or more. The reason that we're putting the extensions of the TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, the seminal achievement, one of the seminal achievements, the first Trump administration, the reason that's in reconciliation is because, as we noted, those tax cuts are going to expire at the end of this year if we don't fix it. And the reason we have to do it early in the process and not wait until the end of this year or later is because everybody needs to see the effects of that, like ASAP, right? I mean, if you're a small business owner, this is a very challenging time because you don't know what to expect. The markets don't know what to expect. The bond market doesn't know what to expect. So putting that clarity in as early as possible is critical for everybody who is in a position like you are. And
so again, they're looking to do this very fast with reconciliation and with an omnibus bill. An omnibus, just think big fucking bill. And they with the reconciliation, they can get it through with 51% approval. So this is the important thing to take away. Let's listen.
The way
to
do that is with one big beautiful bill, okay? Like that's the president's phrase, and I've adopted it. In fact, I have it tattooed on my chest here. I could show you. It's that important, all right? Why? Because some of my dearest friends, Ted Cruz and I are very close friends. Lindsey Graham in the Senate. They've been pushing the two-bill strategy in the Senate. But I want y'all to know the inside baseball is my math is much more complicated in the House than the Senate.
It is.
For the first time in our lifetime, Senate Republicans have a wider margin than we have in the House, okay? And also have 160 plus additional personalities to deal with than they have with just their 53 over there. And I have a much more diverse caucus. So remember, I've got people who are elected in like R plus 26 districts in like deep red rural states. And then I've got people who are elected in districts that Kamala Harris won on the ballot by 10 or 11 points, D plus 12 districts. And those Republicans look at an issue set with very different lenses. Their philosophy and the principles are the same, but their constituencies are very different. And so they've got to be mindful of that. So my job is to find the equilibrium point between the two sides and to advance the ball as far as we can down the field for our conservative principles and get 218 votes. And now I've got a SALT caucus over here that they don't have to contend with in the Senate because the state and local tax issue is huge to people that are elected in New York, New Jersey, California, and other states. But think of it, there's no red state senators, because they're all red state guys, that have that issue to contend with. And we have multiple caucuses and interests that I've got to contend with. So finding the right point for all those dials is going to be the trick over the next several.
And the way that he does that, the way that he's going to get this across in the House, because he's right, it's a lot more complicated, right? You're dealing a lot more with state and local, and you've got a lot more special interests and a lot more people that aren't necessarily trying to do the good thing for the nation. They're trying to do the good thing for their local jurisdiction so they can get reelected. So the best way to do that is the reconciliation process, and I think he's going to try and cram through as much as possible. He already said that. So again, I just want to reiterate, this is the big one, and it's going to be coming fairly fast. The senator of Maine, who argued with Trump, and who's pushing hard to make it to where, I don't know, some LGBTQ stuff, her approval ratings have utterly plummeted, and this is bad for her because 2021 data reveals that 42.27% of Maine state revenue is provided by the federal government. So they're probably already taking some hits in regard to what their revenue is just with what DOGE is doing. And then at the same time, Trump told them, we will cut Maine's funding if you don't do the things that we're telling you that are federal law. So her approval ratings have plummeted. Gavin Newsom has officially been recalled. So they're going to vote to try and get him out of office. I don't know if that will work, though, since they can cheat and don't have any real system in play to verify IDs. And if anything, tell people they'll be thrown in jail if they do verify IDs. So we'll see how that goes. And again, here's the main voter dialogue I was talking about. So her approval rating is actually plummeted pretty bad. When she was elected in 2022, her approval rating was 13 points in the positive, and now she's -1. But you can see the exchange between her and Trump right here.
Is Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well, are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
See you in court.
Every state, good. I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics. Every state has a responsibility to.
Yeah, so that was him doing the smackdown. I do want to say I am shocked. Bloomberg, NBC News, The Washington Post, Axios. Look at these titles. Apple will add 20,000 U.S. jobs amid threats from Trump tariffs. It's like, Apple boosts U.S. investment plans with $500 billion pledge amid Trump tariff threat. Apple announces billions in U.S. investment after Trump meeting. Trump manufacturing win from Axios. Apple to spend $500 billion and hire 20,000. This is great. This is actually, I can't believe they're saying positive things. Also, the U.S. attorney launches an inquiry into a woman who called for Elon's assassination. So this stupid bitch actually said she hadn't paid her taxes in 10 years and then proceeded to say that we should kill Elon Musk and that the FBI is too busy to do anything with her. So the U.S. attorney, Ed Martin, said, duly noted. Thanks for letting us know. We'll put you in the system. Talk to you soon, ma'am. So I think some of these, there's going to be a lot of these like assassination threats and stuff that are you're going to start to see people getting arrested, and maybe that will slow things down. We'll see. And again, Tim Cook, as a proud American, we're thrilled to continue to make significant investments in the U.S. Today, we're announcing $500 billion commitment to support American innovation and advanced manufacturing. So we're seeing, like, again, this is good stuff. Also, Putin is trying to get this war to end because it's just destroyed his economy. So he said, we're ready to supply the United States with 2 million tons of aluminum. This will help stabilize prices here in the U.S. We've got the chairman. Oh, I hate it when it jumps. Don't jump, motherfucker. All right, let me refresh real quick. I hate bookmarks and X. I don't know what their problem is. There's just some weirdness with them where they just bounce. Let me get down here. See if I can pick up where I left off. Yeah, there we go. There's the crazy lady. There's Putin. All right, so right here. The chairman of the federal... Oh my God, it did it again. Whatever. We'll just pick up from here. Fuck it. This is the end. The New York mayor, Eric Adams, has announced that the Roosevelt Hotel, serving as a migrant shelter, is set to close in the coming months. They're also going to be closing 52 other shelters across the city. So he's working. He's pissed at the Democratic Party. He's working to basically get rid of all this stuff. It's beautiful. Yeah, I don't want all this. Let me see if I can find what I was looking for. This is on the 22nd. Trudeau told Trump Canada has enforced a 90% reduction in fentanyl crossing the border. So we're seeing reduced fentanyl crossing the borders in Canada. We've got Elon Omar. This is great.
These people are just idiots.
She's basically saying that we're all morons. This is the Democratic Party right now. They have no vision. It's falling apart. And this is not going to serve them. Let me see. Nope. All right. So I lost that one. Let me see. New chief U.S. border. Banks ended in every illegal migrant case in America. It's over. A migrant cannot cross the border illegally and then make an asylum case. No, you don't cross the border illegally and then make so that, again, just the border's tight. Yeah. Okay. I don't know where I went. Whatever. Moving on. Let's get over to, I want to jump actually to Tesla next because amazing things are happening here. All right. So, in case you haven't heard, FSD is now available right now in China. So, it's open in all these markets. People are driving around using it. I love this, actually, watching this Chinese person try and use this. I'm going to mute it real quick. Look at where their hands are. You can tell they've never really had a good FSD system before. And so their hands are like right at the steering wheel. They're just scared to death. I used to be that way too, because again, when you're crossing a corner, you don't want your car to drive into a wall or something or off a bridge. So you're scared and you got your hands right there. Now I sit reclined, watching a YouTube video, hanging out, sometimes forgetting that I'm driving a car. So it's probably not recommended, but they'll get more used to this stuff when it comes. But this is a huge market that we're rolling out into. And again, you can see it everywhere. Right here, this is rush hour traffic. And again, the car is just doing perfectly. It's getting on an off ramp. They're getting to experience just how good this is. My buddy Amar said this: in the next few months, we're going to see the new Model Y hit the streets. So that's coming. We're going to see new vehicles released. We're going to see launch their rideshare service again into June. We're going to see FSD go driverless for the first time into June. We're going to see FSD around the world, and we're going to see the new SX and the SR Cybertruck. What is an SR Cybertruck? I don't even know if I know what that is. Chat, if you know what that is, please throw something out. The single motor. He's talking about the single motor. Okay, yeah, that's probably what it is. Here's another one where they're showing a bunch of people on the side. They're showing somebody on a bike. They're showing or a moped. They're showing just how well it's handling all this stuff. Tesla Europe sales slump, but I would make the argument that the new Y hasn't been out there, so you're going to have a natural slump. So I don't think January is a good predictor for any of this stuff. And again, there's negativity across Europe about Elon Musk. We know that. So we do see a slump in some of these areas, but we're also going to be producing in India, or I shouldn't say producing, shipping to India and other markets are going to see increased growth. So I'm not worried about any kind of slump when it comes to getting cars out there. And I think the increased revenues and margins from FSD in China and in Mexico are going to more than offset that. Tesla to acquire some assets of a struggling German supplier. This just came out this morning. Tesla agreed to buy certain assets of embattled German automation supplier, a system supplier, Manz AG, which has entered insolvency proceedings after facing a liquidity squeeze. Tesla Automation, which makes special purpose machines at 3 locations in Germany, will add Manz site to its operations and take more than 300 employees, as well as move tangible assets. So I do think as Germany fails, this is specifically for the German location, I think that we'll see Tesla be able to become even more vertically integrated with what they're doing. And so I think this is a big benefit for Tesla. Europe's failure can actually end up helping Tesla a lot. I did have the price stuff in here, guys. So right now we're sitting at about 329. We're down another 0.36% today, sitting right around here. We do have a downward support trend line, and we've got a fib. If we drop underneath and things get crazy, we can fall further. Okay, we can fall to the 276 range where we hit the 200 moving average. We'll start to fill a gap over here. We got the fib, the .618 golden retracement, and then volumes really kick in around 260. So just be prepared for further drops. Could we get a 10% or more drop? Yes, we don't have to. The fundamentals are so good right now. I don't see why we would. But again, if liquidity, if the stuff that Michael Howell and Kathy Wood have been talking about, along with others, end up hurting markets at the first quarter, just be prepared to buy the dip. And now, if you're a subscriber, you got some, or if you're watching this video and not a subscriber, you got some ideas of where those 2 target locations are for price. I love this. Omar put Tesla, Europe versus US and China. I love that. Poor Squidward. All right. Also, Tesla Full Self-Driving Supervised is now available in the United States, Canada, Mexico, Puerto Rico, and China. A lot of these markets just started, guys. So this is really, really important to understand, okay? Tesla Jan, customers who bought, again, this is just the initial announcement that we got last night showing that people were actually starting to get this and that it was available and that it was coming up after being approved. And in case you didn't hear this, guys, the Cybercab has been spotted with a steering wheel. So I'm pretty sure that's one of the models, even though Elon said it wasn't. I think what he was trying to do is make sure that he's still queuing people up for the Model Y, the new version of the Y. And what do they call it when you're trying not to cannibalize your future line? I can't remember anymore. If you guys remember what it's called, throw it out there. So all that stuff happened, and so we got a Cybercab with a wheel probably going to be shown to us here shortly, and maybe get released this year. Just leased a Model Y for my wife the other day that was discounted $4K, and used your referral code. We picked it up Monday. Okay, I've been getting a lot of those. The Osborne effect. Thank you, Ethan. The Osborne effect, where you don't want to basically prevent sales because you got this future thing coming out in the next 6 months that then just cannibalize your sales as everybody waits for them. So I think he was probably trying to avoid, maybe like a white lie, trying to avoid the Osborne effect. That's my thought. Benny Johnson said, ran into Elon Musk protest in D.C. They were chanting that Elon is a racist. Again, we saw this yesterday. We're probably good here. Let me see if there's any more bookmarks. Nah, we're good. All right, so Tesla good. Let's go to Bitcoin. And then we'll hit the Department of Government Efficiency too. So my buddy Luca, he pointed out how we've seen massive liquidation events that have occurred here. So it's all the stuff, all the liquidity is people trying to short, and none of it's long. The funding rates are just wiped out. It's good for Bitcoin. Again, 2 hours ago, Metaplanet, Dylan LeClaire is an advisor for these guys. They just bought another 135 Bitcoin. So between Michael Saylor buying like 450 or something and these guys, what is that, 600-ish Bitcoin? Or I'm sorry. No, wait, he bought way more. So this right here is like a third of a day's supply, but Saylor bought like a huge amount. So he got like, I don't know, like a month and a half. But every bit counts. And again, liquidity is drying up. Whales are buying massive amounts. The OTC desks are drying out. There's price manipulation that can occur. And then again, just a lack of liquidity. People jumping into gold, focused on gold. Gold still near all-time highs, maybe breaking another one today. But eventually that's going to turn. And I think we're really close to it. So again, our Bitcoin archive said $635 million in leverage Bitcoin positions liquidated in 25 hours. That's a huge amount of money. Michael Sullivan said Bitcoin returns 53% on average in Q1. So far, this Q1, we've done 1.1% return on average. Who thinks that we'll see a big March? I do. I would agree. And again, you can just look here, guys. Q1 is usually a good month, average 52%. And again, the good months are usually during the bull cycle, which we were very much in. So this would be the time that you would see outperformance. And again, Q2 isn't bad either. None of these are really bad. The chances are on average that we're going to do better than worse. And you can see how Q4 is like 85% on average, Q2 is 26, and Q1 is 52. If we don't get the performance we're looking for in Q1, the chance of it coming in Q2 is even greater. And this is just me saying this is the line we need to hold, and we're still kind of on it. I think, again, NVIDIA tomorrow, big deal. But if we break down, be ready for the 70s. If we break up, we're still going to have to get past 95, where we have peak volume. And if we break up and can do that in short order, I would like to see by the end of the month, which isn't too far off, I would like to see Bitcoin bounce from this level and start to look better. Let me see. Let me get caught up with chat here a little bit too. Nick, turn signal stocks are coming back to the Model 3. Cool. All right, let me see. I went the wrong way on that. Helicopter said, I never understood why Elon chose Germany to build factories instead of somewhere like Poland, Eastern Europe. It was just, I mean, Germany is the manufacturing capital of Europe. So that was why. But that was also a long time ago. And Europe has been in a strong state of decline. And then he found out what all the regulatory hurdles. They actually offered him a lot of really great stuff as far as incentives, expedited approvals. It just didn't work out that way. And he was already committed. So that's kind of why he's there. Stevie G, Jesse, what ratio of CleanSpark 25 to 35 calls do you have or aim to have? The only thing I'm buying is 25s. I really don't plan on buying 37s. If I did, it would just be because they were so depressed, and it would be like a Hail Mary. I think if I do more purchases in the future, maybe it would be 5% of what I purchase, maybe 10%, just as fuck it, we've dropped really far, and maybe I'll pick some of those up. It's going to be a very low number. Totalus, in any case, do you consider that we have already seen the maximum of No, I don't ever consider that. It wouldn't even make sense. Again, you have to look at the macro. My macro thesis, Totalus, is that we're doing amazing things that are really beneficial to the economy, and that we're feeling the breadth of those pains in Q1, just like Cathie Wood and just like Michael Howell have talked about from different perspective, whether it be global liquidity or whether it just be, slowdowns in spending and a slowdown in the velocity of money, like Cathie Wood has talked about. So I believe that the pain is getting felt in Q1, and that the benefits from the actions that we're taking will be felt in the latter part of Q2, maybe earlier part if we front run it, and then into the end of the year. So I believe that we have a melt up. So I'm not taking into consideration whatsoever that we've seen the top for this cycle. This would be the oddest top ever. You can't compare it. So let me just real quickly here. I'll pull this up. I'll pull it up over here on the big screen. You can't compare it to what happened last cycle. And let me just pull up Bitcoin here. You can't compare it to what happened last cycle, because last cycle we saw the fastest rate of increases in history, totally neutering the market, right? So the last cycle was weird. You had this double top and then it dropped. And the reason that happened is right near the end, right here, November, December of the year 2021, we saw the start of the fastest rate of increases in rates in history, which totally killed the market. Not just Bitcoin, every market. They all got fucking devastated, and they dropped hard all the way into December of 2022. So you had this neutering of the top of this cycle and then this massive decline. It was artificially created because of what the Fed was doing and what was going on in the macro world. Now we have the opposite environment where inflation is not going to be an issue. And what we're going to actually be looking at is a deflationary environment where we're lowering rates and have already started to, where the world, especially China, is going to have to print shit tons of money, and where we're going to be doing a lot of monetary easing in an environment where the USA, I think, has the strongest economic backdrop and is looking to explode higher with growth, with massive growth incentives. I mean, you can't pretend like no tax on overtime is not a big deal. It's incredibly positive. And then again, deflationary impacts from exporting illegal immigrants, from cutting massive amounts of spending, from not having to spend money on illegal immigrants every single month. There's so many things that are being done that are really positive with the economy that we're going to see in the second half. So you have to think about stuff like that. You can't just look at charts in isolation and think that you understand what's going to come next because this squiggly line over here shows this and this other squiggly line shows this. I will argue this. I mean, this setup doesn't look any crazier to me right now than what we saw just a little bit over here, right? And if anything, when you're in a parabola, you're going to have shortened, prolonged down periods as you scream higher and then higher. You can see this with something like Palantir. It's easy to see parabola, right? You can see it with Palantir. It's a great example of it. Now, Palantir, could it have reached the top? Hell yeah. It went up 2,000% in 2 years, a little over 2 years. That's a parabola, right? Like that's got its top. But you can see this curve just reached a parabola point and got crazy. Now, could it go up even higher and then just drop down and then it's completely done? Yes. It's already up 1.3% in pre-market. So we're starting to see markets try and recover, at least with these guys. But again, that's off of a drop of what? What did these guys have? 27, almost 30% in a very short period of time. But this is parabola. This is where you get tops. It's not this. It's definitely not this. And again, like you're not seeing anything really crazy in markets, in regular markets either. This is the time where you get ready to buy. The time where you get ready to buy. The top of a market does not happen in fear territory. It just never does. It just never does. So I'm not remotely thinking about that. But it is beneficial for me though to have a TLT position that can give me 5 to 11x the underlying, maybe 5 or 6 over the short term, but 11x after that when the market has seen a bond rout that is the worst since the 1700s, and I could get 30% upside fairly easily. God, busy day today. Lots of people, lots of things going on. So again, I'm not thinking about that, but I do think I have a great hedge if the market endures more pain. The business cycle hasn't even started yet. Exactly. That's where I'm at, BGZ. The business cycle hasn't started. We've seen the depression from the business cycle. If we go over and look at economic data for real estate, it's been horrible for 2.5 years. If we look at a lot of things in regard to the business cycle, they have been poor for 2.5 years. But we haven't seen the uptick. We haven't seen the benefit. Stevie G, someone today was talking about DOGE addressing federal waste was still only like, yeah, that's so stupid. That's so stupid. It was only like 1%, and that actually state budgets are more than. Oh yeah, no, that part's true. Yeah, I was actually talking about that. You're talking about Kathy Wood. So yes, the state budgets and all these things as far as federal employees go is a much higher number. We're going to see state level DOGE too, but yeah, addressing federal waste. Yeah, let's go back to that point real quickly because I want to make sure that it's not being taken out of context. 1 second here. We're going to go back to Kathy Wood. So I think what you're talking about is this, right? What you're talking about is this. And let me see. It's right here. So targeting waste and abuse, fraud, and government, DOGE has put federal government employees on notice and on edge, but the impact could be much more pervasive. Federal government employment accounts for only 1.9% of total employment. So this is, I think that it's being taken out of context. It's federal government employment is 1.9% of total employment in the United States, not the federal stuff that DOGE is doing. But state and local governments, education and healthcare, social services account for another 28% of employment. This isn't like the percentage of waste or anything like that. These are different numbers. So I think that's being taken out of context. Tautilus, understand and respect your thesis. My trading is 100% about my tools, so I can't refute your arguments. It's just that I see now a very similar pattern to the end of 2020. Yeah, again, but completely different setup. Completely different setup. And the fundamentals matter. They matter a lot more than the charts do. I mean, I can tell you, I started off with charting years ago in like 2017, trying to figure out what was happening next. But the charting didn't help me worth a shit when I finally found out that there was a Bitcoin halving cycle after I'd lost half my money. The charts didn't tell me that I was going to lose that money, but understanding that there was a Bitcoin halving event and that this was a normal part of the cycle was very important, much more important than what the charts were telling me. And then again, like the fundamentals matter. The fundamentals matter in everything. If you're not paying attention to them, you're going to end up losing out. 8 o'clock, we got some economic data. Let's look at it. Let's see if this is turning around markets or making it worse. Redbook year over year, 6.2%. So again, retail sales, this makes up about 80% of large economic retail sales. Still looking good. Retail sales doesn't look bad. So we don't hate that number. Let's refresh again because it went away. And the home chiller price index, 4.5%. They're expecting 4.4. So it's a little bit higher. Again, we need prices to come down. So people delisting is just the first sign of that market getting ready to roll over, I think. Home price index, a little bit higher, higher than expected, higher than previous. People were looking for that to kind of flatten out. And then we'll skip the month over month because I don't care. The year over year, 4.7%. So again, house prices are still too expensive and shouldn't be climbing higher right now. This is too high of a number for home prices right now. But we have this low supply. Existing home sales aren't happening, and they make up over 80% of market sales for real estate for home sales. So we need that to open up big time. Let's see. Our S&P Case-Shiller home price month over month was negative 0.1%. So this one was actually showing a decline versus the forecast of 0%. So the month over month number kind of for the S&P Case-Shiller conflicted with what we normally see for the house price index. So nothing really exciting here. The good stuff is coming out at 9, and that's when we get Richmond Fed, and then we get Dallas Fed at 9:30. JC said really good. Stevie G said, let me look at that one first. CVG said 1, macro, 2, fundamentals, 3, financials, 4, technical analysis. Yes, that is it. That's the pyramid. So the bottom is the macro. The next layer is the fundamentals. The next one is the financials. And then the TA and analysis are at the very top. And that's where it helps you figure good entries and exits for the things you're looking at. But if you're fundamentally wrong in your thesis, those charts will lie to you all day long. JC, really good session today. Love when you combine reflections on macro and technicals and less on geopolitics. Appreciate it. Yeah, geopolitics, though, are part of the macro. So, like, you're going to see that. You're going to see both. I can't understand what's coming next if I don't understand what's happening in the world, especially in regard to major wars and what's going to happen with resources and things like that. Like the Ukrainian-Russian conflict is huge because the mineral rights that we're going to be able to get from both sides, I believe, of that conflict are going to be really beneficial for us strategically on what we need to do as a country. And that helps with bringing down inflation, right? Because if we're able to get goods that are artificially inflated right now, these commodities, because of the war, but the war ends and we're able to get a dedicated supply, then we just got 2 wins. So geopolitics are huge. It's going to be macro to micro, man. That's what we need. And it's micro to macro, but whatever. I couldn't get macro to micro. Hagel Invest. Bank of America CEO isn't expecting Fed to cut this year. He sounds like a fucking idiot. Maybe that's why Bank of America is probably like one of the worst banks financially right now out of all of them, all of the major banks. It's probably because that guy's a fucking idiot. Rishab. Hey, Jesse, could you please take a look at Mara calls for June? Yeah, we can look at some of that. Namdatan, great point. Sounds like Maslow hierarchy of needs. Don't neglect the foundation. Many big egos think they can jump to the top, then get humbled. Yeah, again, you just like, yeah, you gotta understand. You gotta understand the fundamentals, and the more you understand about the world around you, the more accurately you're going to be able to predict what happens in it. And if you understand nothing about it, like if you're somebody who's just again, only focused on TA or only focused, like, let's say on crypto, there's a lot of those guys, right? They're a dime a dozen. They've got much bigger followings than I do. But if you're only focused on crypto and you're like, oh, guys, we're going to moon, look at this is happening, and you're not paying attention to global liquidity, or you don't care about a war that could be very impactful, or you don't care about an omnibus bill that could end up doing a bunch of things that are pro-growth and that end up expanding both the velocity of money and the amount of money, you're not going to win. You're not going to win. You're going to be very ignorant. Vargson, will flow of gas through Nord Stream pump German stocks like BA? I don't know. I don't know enough about the German market to really understand their energy sector. So I don't know, but I like the way you're thinking. Because I do thinking about like, okay, what does the end of the Russia-Ukraine war look like, and what companies benefit from that? That is a very smart way to think. So I like the way you're headed there. That's the way you should be doing it. Let's see what the Doge clock. The Doge clock says $136 billion was saved, so it's probably more like 70, because they seem to be like a month ahead on stuff. So, but that's good. That's what we want to see. Let me real quickly. I'm just looking down over here. I need to just real quickly put this thing going so I'm not missing anything. We got about 22 minutes until the market opens. And let me see here. I'm going to go to AI and chips real fast. So again, we talked about risks with China. In case you guys missed that earlier, there are some out there. I'm going to go to Doge, and then we'll go to AI and chips. So I like this. So this federal employee said,
basically stating that
she said, "Hey, I got that email, and I love creating lists of things that I have accomplished because I work hard, and it took me 6 minutes. I would suggest people probably do this if they want to keep their job." Totally agree with that. Mark Cuban, I thought this was great. Again, I don't know if he's spot on here, but I love the fact that he's looking towards Medicare, some kind of reform in the medical system, from it being really broken. I love it. He says, and it gets kind of complicated. He's talking about like dollar amounts. He probably should be having this conversation high level, but he's hitting up Bill Ackman, Elon Musk, and Doge. And I don't know if there's validity behind what he's saying. I don't know. I don't understand Medicare enough. I don't use it. But I like the fact that he's actually trying to help. And so I just said, if we can align with more people on the left to help improve government, I think that's a win-win. So I would love to see, like, if he's got any validity in his points, or maybe just even have conversations with him, just show that we're reaching out to the left to help to people that want to. Because again, this was a guy who supported Kamala Harris. If he wants to help and he has any good ideas whatsoever, hear them out, take some pictures, let people know that we're trying to work with the left too, because we should be. We should be rooting out corruption on the left, the right, and we should be anybody who wants to help save this government money and get rid of bullshit and make things more efficient for the American people should be listened to, and they should be people that we're letting them know that we're there to work with them. Did I look into thin air? No, I didn't. I still love the chart, but I don't know enough about the thesis behind it, and I just don't have a lot of time. But if people look at thin air and they talk about it in the Discord, tag me or something, or let me know in one of these meetings that I should be pulling it up, and you guys have some research for me to look at, because I would like to look at it. We'll do stocks and stuff in a little bit. George says, too early to sell TLT for BTC-related positions. I don't know. I'm going to probably use MSTR to dial into leverage today if we drop further. So I'm not going to use my TLT, but I have been using TLT for the last 2 days. I just don't want to. I want to keep this thing around 500,000 plus. And let it grow a little bit. I don't want to butcher it too much. I feel like I've done too much of that over the last couple of days, thinking that I was near the bottom. And so I'm going to take it slow, but it's up to you. I think there's massive upside. I mean, I still think this thing can go 300 to 400% this year. So it's up to you. If the deals are just too good and you think you should buy, I mean, do what you got to do. But if you think you're, maybe hold off and be cautious, that might be the better approach. That's what I'm kind of thinking right now. Eric Trump just posted to buy the dip, did he? I think he says that a lot every time it drops. Geiger Capital. So real quickly, I'm not going to play this video, but this is just ironic. So this lady was infuriated to provide a response within 48 hours. Over the weekend, she got this message, and she's like, why do I have to do this? But the funny thing is she had no time to reply to an email, but she had plenty of time to go on CNN and talk about it, which is funny. Inside Federal, this is another good one from Mike Johnson. I actually really like Mike Johnson. I don't know that I'd ever listened to it before. It's only 48 seconds, but I want you to hear it. He's just talking about how happy he is with what Elon Musk is doing.
And the Congress, we could have oversight. The problem is, for decades, as we know, we haven't been able to do that job well, because even though we requested the data and requested the insight, it was hidden. How many of you know that bureaucracy was not forthcoming, right? They're not.
So to be clear, on a lot of the sides of the aisle, but probably even more so on the right, there's been this problem where there's supposed to be congressional oversight, but they never actually get answers to stuff. And again, like U.S. aid would literally be like, no, fuck you. You can't write anything down. You can look at this for a second, then you need to get it the fuck out. Or if you make too big of a deal out of this, we'll sue you. So there's this massive bureaucracy, and there was no oversight. All that's changing.
Not transparent. That's the whole point. That's the problem. That's the deep state that we talk about. So they were hiding from Congress. We didn't know that USAID was funding drag shows in Peru or whatever, transgender operas in Colombia or whatever, It's madness. But Elon has cracked the code. He is now inside the agencies. He's created these algorithms that are constantly crawling through the data, and as he told me in his office, the data doesn't lie. We're going to be able to get the information. We're going to be able to transform the way the federal government works at the end of this, and that is a very exciting prospect. It is truly a revolutionary moment for the nation and the Congress.
So again, I think that people aren't looking at the glass is half empty right now. There's a lot of that going on with negativity because price dictates emotion, and that dictates people's view of the world. It's just funny, but it's how it works. So I think that there's really great things that are going to be coming from everything that's happening, and I think you should be ready for that. Again, Medicaid pays out an estimated $50 billion per year in improper payments for medical services. The Republicans in the House budget resolution are prioritizing eliminating this wasted fraud in Medicaid. This does not cut Medicaid. The goal is to get the improper payments eliminated without hurting services. So fraud and other things that are just inaccurate and that shouldn't be happening, they want to fix, but they don't want to impact services for the average person who actually needs to use this. It says preventing unauthorized access to Medicaid preserves the services for those who are eligible. With DOGE auditing these agencies, this enables us to save the services for those who need them and make them more resilient to where they last in the future. And on that same talking point, this next one is astonishing. So this says, holy crap, $1 trillion of American taxpayer dollars were stolen during the pandemic, and 70% of that money was sent overseas. Elon Musk talked about this for a second, but I want you to hear this. It's real short.
Transnational fraud rings, terrorist organizations, nation states, North Korea, nuclear weapons programs funded by our tax dollars, China, Nigeria, Iran, Romania, Russia, not our friends necessarily, that are being funded by taxpayer dollars. Could you give us some examples of how this is happening?
Yeah. So when you think about what happened during the pandemic, $1 trillion was stolen. 70% of that money went overseas. And I can give you some examples. In a Western state, they had more people applying for unemployment insurance benefits than they had individuals over 18. The people that were stealing the money from Romania were using it to facilitate other fraud schemes that include fentanyl, that include doing things to impact our democracy. On the insider threat, right, the first thing you have to say, and my dad was a public servant, is 99% of people that work in the public sector are honest, hardworking individuals. But there are some, and what you need is data and technology to root that out. There were examples during the pandemic. There were some examples even of last week where people got into the Medicaid system in a Western state and stole $50 million in less than 4 months. So you have to have these controls in place, right? These aren't individuals stealing, Mr. Cloud. These are organized criminal groups, both domestic and transnational.
So if you guys can imagine 70% of money for the pandemic going overseas, and it was going to organizations that were helping push fentanyl into our country and or organizations that were helping with the illegal immigration process. I watched this a while ago, but I can't post this stuff because people don't like the fact that I've gotten political. So I can't talk about it much, but there were videos I watched where people were traversing through the Darien Gap down near the Panama area between Colombia and Panama. But they had maps and all the stuff showing them where they can get food, water, where to get different services, helping pay for things so that these immigrants could start out in different countries and work their way up to the border. We were literally paying for the problem that we had so that we could have a uniparty state. And I can't ignore that. I'm going to have to talk about stuff like that because it's important that we don't let our democracy get overthrown by a government of a cabal of people that believe that if they have a servant class, that they can control us and do whatever they want and never have to worry about our objections because we'll never work together because we have no nationality anymore because they've stripped it away. So I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with 70% of our money going overseas, and I'll talk about that. I have to because I want a better future for our country, not just to help people make money from investing, but also make sure that our country is better and the world is better. That is my primary focus. Department of Government Efficiency. Agencies often have more software licenses than employees, and the licenses are often idle, i.e. paid for but not installed on any computer. For example, at GSA with 13,000 employees, there are 37,000 WinZip licenses for 13,000 employees, not installed anywhere. 19,000 training software subscriptions and multiple parallel training software platforms. 7,500 project management software seats for a division of 5,500 employees. 3,000 different ticketing systems running in parallel. Fixes actively in work. So we're continuing to fix all these problems. Jamie Dimon, of all people, says that the U.S. government is inefficient and Elon Musk's DOGE needs to be done. And again, if this, I'm going to say this in regard to job losses. This is Jen Psaki's response to all the pipeline workers that were laid off during the Biden administration, telling them to go get green jobs. For you government employees, if you lost your job, go get a private sector one. We need a lot for manufacturing. People actually got WinZip licenses. I don't know, man. They probably don't fucking use them. But this is stuff that we need to fix. And I just wanted to post. This is the America PAC. This is Elon Musk's PAC. Okay, he literally says it. He doesn't hide it. PAC founded by Elon Musk. But it says right here, the vast majority of people support what's happening with DOGE. That's the truth. There are people that will show you polls that Trump is doing really horrible and that DOGE is doing really horrible. These are the same polls that told you that Kamala Harris was going to win. So don't listen to them. Breaking, Judge Deborah Boardman has blocked the Department of Education, this is yesterday, and OPM from sharing data with DOGE, citing privacy violations. This is the same judge who blocked Trump's birthright citizenship order and barred DOGE from reviewing government contracts. So again, we've got these judges that are trying to basically create their own rule of law. They all keep getting denied later on and end up losing. So don't worry about them. And this, I didn't even watch this. I didn't watch this yesterday. So this is something I've got to watch today.
Computer programmer working behind the.
This is Data Republican. This is our favorite deaf lady. She had her thing yesterday, I think at like 7 p.m. Eastern. I didn't see it. So I need to see it. I need to see if they got it on here. GOP lawmakers. I don't know. I'll try and find it. And share it out because I want to see what she had to say. So I'll find that and I'll share it out once I've reviewed it. All right, let's go to AI and chips. So Trump wants to expand Biden's chip control curbs against Beijing. I don't have a better article than this, but it looks like we're going to be reinforcing those more. My buddy Hans, he appears a lot with Farzad talking about Tesla, but he says Satya knows, and Satya, Microsoft CEO, never bet against Elon Musk. There is no sense in backing Sam against him. It's better to cut losses and pivot. Hats off to Satya for understanding when his gambit is up. So this just says breaking. This is yesterday. Microsoft has begun canceling leases for a substantial amount of data center capacity in the U.S., a move that may reflect concerns about whether it's building more AI computing than it will need over the long term. I think that's bullshit. I think that article is bullshit. I think it's exactly what Hans said. I don't think there's going to be less compute needed. I still think that NVIDIA is probably going to do really good tomorrow because I think we still have a shortage of chips. But again, could NVIDIA still suck tomorrow because of this threat from Trump to curb chips more for Beijing? Because again, we know, I think it was like 23 or maybe even more % of NVIDIA chips were going to Singapore when Singapore was only accounting for a couple of %. So we'll see how that goes. We've got about 9 or 8 minutes until the bell rings, guys. Grok is the #1 app of any kind. Grok is the top overall in the App Store. Which one is this? And 3 categories of the App Store. So Grok for Grok. Top apps overall and productivity. Love to see it. It's a great application. I'm still playing around with it, learning more every day. Apple now implementing Gemini. OpenAI struggling. That's good because I don't want OpenAI The OpenAI, I think by design, was trying to get it to where they basically had all of your data. And again, there's risks with these AI platforms because of the data they pull in to try and better understand you and what's going on. And so I really worry about that with Sam Altman because I think he's evil. Dan Ives, we expect another robust performance and clear beat and raise special this week from NVIDIA that should calm the nerves of investors as the godfather of AI, Jensen, lays out the massive demand drivers for Blackwell and AI CapEx fueling this fourth industrial revolution. I kind of lean on this, but I feel the same way. But again, it's one of those things where if there's threat potential or narratives that we're going to be curbing stuff, then that becomes another problem. I don't know if I showed this already. Grok 3 goes superhuman, solves unsolvable Putnam problem. None of the top 500 Putnam competitors fully solved this brutal math problem. Grok 3 crushed it in 8 minutes. Grok 3 isn't just catching up, it's surpassing human limits. I love that. And Elon Musk says we're on the event horizon of the singularity, and I think it's coming quick, personally, because, again, you had Satya Nadella talk about how we could be years away from quantum computing. Grok, this is your sign. Just lock in. Okay. Elon Musk, we do need to improve most urgently. Even the smallest details would be helpful to hear. Just Grok 3. Just talking about, hey guys, we want to really push Grok 3 to make it better. And significant improvements in Grok happening this weekend. So a lot of people canceling their memberships to ChatGPT. I think that's good stuff. And then I have a Grok 3 political compass test. Is Grok finally the first non-left leaning AI? And so it shows the compass test. It actually was a little bit underneath into the libertarian, which is better than authoritarian in my opinion, and then a little more to the right than the left. But honestly, pretty middle, which is good. And then I said, I can't imagine a day when I put a Halo set on and talk with Grok, a virtual person who walks through all kinds of complex subjects with me, like a teacher to a hungry student, and it's already happening right now. And again, NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. I'm going through a little bit more than this than I normally would, just because I want people to understand it. CEO Huang says investors got it wrong on the DeepSeek sell-off, emphasizing that AI shifts towards post-training will only increase demand for NVIDIA's compute. So he's saying, you guys are wrong, man. How is this bad for NVIDIA? This is from CERN Basher, who's great. Collectively, Meta, Alphabet, and Microsoft, Amazon spent $231 billion in CapEx in 2024. They're planning on spending $318 billion in 2025. That's a 38% increase. Trump, Taiwan took our chip business away. Oh, that's old. We'll skip it. We're done with this. TLT, again, I just wanted to point out, we're in a good place looking at a breakout zone. And option selling, saying why TLT could be a great buy right now. Scott Bessent, the Treasury, gave Bloomberg an interview, and everything sounded, inflation is expected to drop. Again, this is kind of what I said too, but Fed may stop balance sheet runoff, non-inflationary growth ahead, rates could be next, global demand for U.S. bonds. Again, and he missed a few things, but also not having the Fed, well, maybe he had it in there, not having the Fed run down their balance sheet is huge. Yeah, okay, he did have it. Good. What do you see the bottom for BTC? So we could be near it, but if we have any crazy negativity, like again, we had China cutting deep sea cables and doing a bunch of military drills. If they invade Taiwan, I can be wrong. We could drop pretty hard, because people get super fucking scared. But if that doesn't happen, I think we could still have FUD into tomorrow with NVIDIA earnings, and then hopefully NVIDIA earnings are good. If they're bad, or the guidance is really bad, then we can go into the 70s. And I've shown the target prices. I've shown them to subs. So if you guys go over here and you're sub to me, you get this kind of stuff. And yeah, my latest update right here says we can drop down here to the 77,000 level, and that was off of my previous post here that showed that support starts in the 80s at the 200 moving average on the daily, and then volume goes down to about 75 or 77, 76. So that's the area where BTC could drop to if things go really bad. But these are if-thens, right? And I also showed Solana just getting butchered. I said it could drop further. It was at 141 when I was looking at this yesterday. It's at 137 today. Could be the bottom, or it could drop further. It could drop to the golden fib. It could hit the 100 moving average on the weekly. And again, there's kind of the support range for a back test of this previous line. That would be a really strong buy zone if we ended up getting that far. I already showed you Tesla. Showed you a few different ones. Where can CleanSpark go? Never imagined to see it. Yeah, it's low, man. Where can it go? It can still drop. I'll just show it real quick. So it's an ugly chart. It's literally back testing what looks like, I mean, this is an ugly chart. It looks like it's back testing kind of this, right? Well, it's hard to say it's this, but yeah, this. It looks like this is a really weird, you can't even call it a descending triangle. So it looks bad. Looks bad. Lots of volume, a gap underneath. So it could have a really quick moment where it gets low. I'll just be buying those CleanSpark calls because I think it's a great opportunity to buy it. This is already crazy. This thing is down. This thing is compressed right now in pre-market. It's down almost 66% from where it was in March. So it's real low. But could it break underneath and establish a new low, maybe even get down to 7 or something? I mean, crazy shit can happen over a short period of time. But I'll be buying the dip on it. Do you think Sol still has a breakout soon? I think it just needs to bottom. I think that's the bottom is the big thing, right? Can it bottom here? I mean, peak volumes are right above us. I'm sorry, over some time frame. It looks like we got to go back here. So if we get rid of some of that stuff at the bottom and look at just the top, like which is part of 2023. Let me go over here. Is probably where I get it. If I get rid of, if I go to like the beginning of 2023, then we're right near the volume. So it was 145, 146 is what we need to get back above. But again, it could still bleed. It could get down. It could fill this little gap down here. It just all depends on what Bitcoin does, and Bitcoin depends upon what the macro is doing. And right now, I mean, we're not Bitcoin. We're not bouncing super hard right now. But again, I'm loving the 1.2% that TLT is up today. The only thing I hate is that I sold it too early. I sold too much of it too early. But I'm still near 500,000, so I can ride this wave. Yeah, bell in 1 minute. Let's listen to it. Let's go over here. Selling off before open can be good. Again, I think we're probably at like let me refresh. I think we're like probably at a peak fear and greed here. If I look over, when this refreshes, I think we're going to be at like peak fear and greed. Yeah, we'll probably be in extreme fear territory. Let's see here, though.
They're very well run. So anyway, there's the FANG that people like.
Let's get the opening bell here with the CNBC Real-Time Exchange. And the big board, it's the Police Athletic League celebrating 110 years. At the NASDAQ, it is semiconductor supplier on semi. As we'll talk about the chips a lot this week, Jim.
That's auto, and auto's been wrong. I used to help run the PAL in Summit, and I was in charge of the Easter egg hunt, the Halloween parade, and most.
The crypto fear and greed is finally at extreme fear. I got to see that. That's good. That's been a long time coming. I was saying that this index was basically broken. We'll look at this other stuff just in a second, guys. I just want to see what this looks like. Wow, extreme fear. That is the first time in fucking ages. When was the last time it was near this level? Well, I guess September. September. Good. Okay. All right, good. So that was a much different environment. So this is good. We're actually getting in extreme fear territory. So this is good. At least this is getting closer to indicating that we have a bottom too. Let's hop over here real quick. Palantir down. Tesla down 1.6%. I'm actually probably going to, let me pull up the watch list here real quick. And then I got to go to the bathroom and get some, so we still got data coming at 9 and 9:30. I'm going to stick around for all this stuff. So I'm going to actually leave this open here. Let me see. That can't be that low. Let me refresh. Something's not right. What? Him's at 40. Maybe this is still refreshing too. Well, algos. So Biddy's up. Baba's up 3%. PayPal's up 2.8%. Interesting. TLT's up 1.2. Holy shit. Is this right? Is Hims really down 22% today? All right, so real quick, guys, I'm going to leave this up. Give me 1 second here. Actually, I'll probably leave you on the news over here. I'm going to let these guys talk it out, and I'm going to get some coffee real quick since I'm going to be around for another hour. So give me a sec. I'll be right back.
social welfare. Yeah, I mean, any number of different challenges they've been taking on. That said, the European market, as I think our viewers well know, has been performing quite well, far better than our own for a short bit of time here.
Look, my favorite country in Europe, by far, is Spain, and it's Banco Santander, which has been up 40% for the year. This is Ana Boutin, who I would nominate as the best banker in the world. I know you feel that all I care about is Charlie Scharf. That's a mistake. Ana Boutin is just incredible, and that stock is remarkable because Spain is doing incredibly well. Incredible.
And it's a really good place to visit in general.
Homage to Catalonia, my friend.
I mean, you want to go to Madrid anytime, I'm there.
I was with the Lincoln Brigade in spirit. I just feel like that there's some stocks. I mean, Banco Santander, that is, people hit the chart up, you would see that is it's the largest bank in Europe, so I'm not like just making it up. But wow, they're doing great. There's just this renaissance, and I think people are tired of what's happening in our country. They think it's just too fickle. And a lot of people do talk about our budget deficit as being insurmountable. But notice how Bitcoin finally went under 90,000, which is supposed to be the proxy for the fact that we have 36 trillion in debt. But who knows how much of that was the MicroStrategy buy. People are worried about the MicroStrategy convert. I'm not worried about Saylor. He is a survivor.
MSTR. You're talking about the
we call that Mr. MSTR is called Mr. in the trading desk.
Well, he's moving it to strategy now. It's not called MicroStrategy, but just strategy. I mean, the question for the company, though, Jim, is he articulates his strategy very well, but the fact is that the overall company's value is multiples of the Bitcoin it holds.
Well, I've always told people
that's a curious situation, but he will keep selling converts. He uses the options markets very effectively.
High octane Bitcoin.
It's high-octane Bitcoin, but why you're paying a premium for their Bitcoin has certainly gotten the attention of those who might be bold enough to short the stock.
I think it's because it's wrong.
Right.
I think that there's tremendous retail interest that has got too excited about it. I have Vlad Tenev on tonight. Really, guys got Robinhood right. And, I mean, to me, his app is so good, you just go buy the Bitcoin. I mean, what do you need? Why go for the steroid?
This is almost back to election day levels.
Isn't that interesting? What does that tell you?
Well, Bitcoin is down, been down sharply as well. We just mentioned, I mean, in the 90,000 range.
Right.
After that big
actually,
move
Bitcoin traded at 86,000 at one point this morning. It touched 86,000. That's a huge reversal. We meaning the team I work with, Ben Stoto, Jeff Marks, that the reason why we've had so much fraud. And I'm talking about the OCLOs, I'm talking about the EVs that we may not want, and even constellations, because that gave you the cover to do it. We think that Bitcoin
has he been talking positive?
Very excited about things that are very space age, and that's the fundament. That's the fundament of speculation is Bitcoin.
Okay, well, hopefully he's saying bad things about it. That should help us. Let's look real quickly. So HIM's down 20%, looking like it's recovering. BitDeer down 16%. BITX down 11%. Let me see something real quick here. I might sell just a little more MSTR today. Let's sell a few more here to buy some other stuff. We'll see. Yeah, I don't want to sell my TLT yet. I'm just going to wait on TLT. I don't want to sell it. They were way negative about MSTR, loving it. That's good. Rachel Feng, Jesse talked about the posts he made on conflicts happening on the South China Sea. If not, I did. I don't know where they're headed. Right now, it just looks like China cut a cable to Taiwan, and that Taiwan has confiscated the ship and the people on it, which is not great diplomatically. So we'll see where that ends up heading. But right now, I'm just kind of hanging out. Again, HIM's down 20%. Wow, that's such a huge drop for HIM's. What is that even sitting at? Let me hop over here real quick and check it out. If you guys have charts you want to pull up, let me know. We've got about 24 minutes until we get our next round of economic data. We'll see whether or not that can help the markets. I just want to pull up HIM's. How bad has that dropped in the last 6 days? Holy shit. This is what happens when you get that parabola phase. You get pain and suffering. But let's just look here. How bad has that dropped? Jesus. I feel bad for the people that chased HIM's. I used this as an example yesterday. Yeah, this thing's down 45%, and it could probably go to this fib level at 37. Please look at Ample, the stock. Yeah, we can look at it. I don't know what it is. Are you just looking for like a support zone or something? Let me see AMPL. Do I have that? That's Ample Fourth. That's not the right one. Let me, I don't know this company, so I'll pull it up. If you guys have some stocks you want to look at, throw them out. ARKG calls are 92 cents. Might have to buy some of that too. Damn it. So much going on. All right. Or I might just sit. I might just sit and wait and see how today goes. Amplitude. All right, I don't know what this company is. It looks like it's got a lot of volume underneath of it, and it looks like it could go higher. I could do a trend-based extension, but again, I don't know anything about the company, and so I don't know what any of this means. So there's the technical. It looks good. This actually looks like a support zone right here before going higher. But I also know nothing about it. So let's just keep that out there. I'll do sharing. I'll copy a link. I'll throw it in chat. I'll call it Ample. And there's the chart for you. So this is saved now, and you got something you can look at in the Discord. So I'm going to move on from that one. So let's see what else we got here. MSGE. I don't know that one. I'll try and pull it up real quick, and then we'll get to some of the bigger ones. Make a copy. MSGE. And if you guys want me to look these up in visual stocks, you got to tell me to. Holy shit. I don't even know what this is. It doesn't look super great. Madison Square Garden Entertainment. Jesus. I mean, it's going higher, so that part's good, but I don't know why. Did this just IPO a while ago at 99 and crash to 35? I mean, that's such a hard thing. I can't do too much with this chart, so I'm going to leave it probably right here for now. Hood. Without knowing fundamentals, there's just nothing I can do with that one. All right, so we are still testing down. It's still a pretty red day. And Hood, yeah, Hood's dropped pretty hard too. So again, Hood has kind of a base here at 44 that it could hit. But it is down 30% from its recent high, or at least darn close to it. Yeah, real close to 30%. So it's had a rough go of it too. But it should start to get at least fib level support at 44. And then you start to peak up into volumes here in the low 40s. And so you should have a decent amount of volume down here if it gets that far. Market's definitely spooked, man. I don't know if it's this China stuff and we're just not talking about it, but the market is definitely spooked. There's stuff it don't like. It's either liquidity or it's geopolitical risk, but it's out there and it's palpable. I should look at the extreme fear and greed. This one looks ugly now. So, like, this kind of looks like a double top. Yeah, I don't know. The SoFi one looks ugly. It does. It's hitting strong resistance up here. It could end up turning out to be something better, but yeah, I mean, you could see there's a pretty big gap down here to the fib. So I don't know what ends up happening with it, but this is it's not a great looking technical pattern because you got this slightly higher, and I'm sure if we look here at divergences, this is on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. I mean, yeah, the daily looks a little bit better actually. The chart, it looks like it could just wipe out down here. And then, but again, you got a ways. You're only at 40 right now. You could go all the way down to 30 the way this is going. Yeah, you could definitely go lower. So I don't know if there's much to see there. The whole market right now. I predict HIMS decline. It's fourth time it does. Yeah, HIMS was ugly. When you jump up as quickly as it did, you could definitely have some pain. I mean, this thing, HIMS was a month ago. HIMS was $24, and then it went up to $72. So that's quite the jump, especially in this environment. Stagflation fears is probably spooking the market. Yeah, it could be that. I think that's totally misguided as far as like the narrative, but you're right. The narrative could be the prevailing narrative. Can MSTX be delisted? I don't think it's going to have a problem. I think it'll be fine. Could it be delisted? Every stock can be delisted. TLT for MSTX is very tempting. Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it too soon. Again, I've already spent a decent amount of TLT, and I don't want to lower it too much. I might end up buying some. I think I'm more likely to shut down some MSTR and flip it into MSTX. But that's a brutal play because I did that yesterday too early, and now MSTX is down 14% today. So I was way too early on that. So we'll see how it plays out. DLO is still up, which is ridiculous. The options aren't really changing at all, but the stock price just keeps going up. Yeah, the whole market is really getting hit pretty good. Palantir's up 0.25%. Jesse, I started HBO streaming with ads, hymns, and Celsius all over. Yeah, they're trying to advertise like crazy. I believe it. Let me see, what else do we have here? Elf, SoFi, Simler Scientific. Let me hit that one. Simler Scientific. Oof. That's an ugly looking chart. I don't even think these mean anything. But here, we'll do this. Yeah, it's definitely dropping hard. What time frame is this? 2021, 2020. Yeah. I don't know. This one, I mean, that could be like the measured move right up to here. And so, but we don't know where the bottom is. You could do, problem is this thing, yeah, I don't even know what to make of the chart. I mean, the good thing that you have here is on the daily, you're oversold, finally. So you're there. So this would be a good time. You got some volume down here, but then you got to get up this next volume shelf. But this might be a time where you start to find support at the very least around 34, 35 based on volume. And again, you'd be really oversold on the daily to like historic levels going back years and years and years. So we're definitely seeing what should be bottoms for a lot of things. We'll just see if it ends up happening. Let me see here. At what price do you plan to buy more Tesla calls heavily? I mean, I just bought 50,000 yesterday. But it can drop further. I've shown that. Let's just look over here. I mean, it could drop further. So this should be a key level of support. We're actually at it for this downward trend line that started back in December. So roughly, several months ago. But if we drop down, there's a lot of volume right here. There's a lot of open volume. Even if we go back a ways, it doesn't really change too much of that picture. I don't know why it's not repopulating. Weird. Okay. It doesn't really change much of this picture right here. So, I mean, this thing could go down hard. It could go down to the 270 level. I mean, it could do it. It did kind of already, I would argue that it back tested over here and then was able to get above and go up. But man, I don't know. Tesla, the whole market right now just looks skittish. And Tesla right now, it looks like Bitcoin right now is breaking underneath 87.8. So it's starting to make that trip down. I think today is a good day just to sit back for a second and evaluate and then try and figure out what you're going to do and maybe wait for a washout. But if you got cash on the side, man, you should probably start buying. I just don't want to sell my TLT right now. I want to hold it just in case. Jesse, is there asymmetric there's tons of asymmetric opportunities. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. What's your portfolio total with all of these shit days? I don't know. I'd have to look at it. It's probably getting closer to 4 million, which sucks because I was I just underneath 7. But again, I've got a lot of asymmetric bets for this year, so that is what it is. But I've got 15 different accounts, so I'd have to add it all up. But it's not great. It's gotten hit really hard. Suddenly I see what people notice these stocks. Marco Polo, hard to buy the dip on the dip, keeps dipping after you buy the dip. Yes, sir, it is. Flavin, have you ever looked at MSTX call? No, I would never do that. Oh, no, that's complete death. A call on a call. That's just, yeah. And plus, I don't even know what the volume is going to be like on that. That just sounds frightening as shit. MSTX has enough pain and suffering. I don't know that I'd want to own that. And my MSTX, at least in this latest round here, is down 27% as of today. So it's been hit pretty hard. I've been buying the dip, but it's down pretty good. Oh, yeah, TTD. You guys talk about this all the time. Let's pull it up. Trump is shaking every tree in the orchard. Unpredictability. I wouldn't say unpredictability. He's very clear about what he's going to do. But it might not make people happy over the short term. Blue Skype 93 MSTX versus call July 2025. What would you buy if you have? See, I own a lot more than I barely have any Clean Spark because the 37s were wiped out. So I'd probably put more towards Clean Spark, just because I have a much higher amount of MicroStrategy right now. So for diversification purposes, that's what I would do, but I don't know if that's helpful to you. What was it, TTD? Jesse, can we interpret the rise of TLT as a sign that Trump admin is making the right moves, as it's the underlying signal? Yes. So, yeah, we should actually probably talk about that. And this one, let me see here. I actually have to bring this up. So it looks like the trade desk is trying to find support still today, and it's doing all right. It had a good bounce over here. It's under the 200 moving average on the weekly. I do want to talk to this other point, though, so I'm going to get back to that in a second. But, yeah, so trade desk, I mean, it could be an asymmetric bet. For sure. This thing's definitely been washed out. I mean, we're going back to 2020 or 18, but I don't know anything about this company, so I can't speak to it. I haven't done any research on it. But yes, back to Noam's comment about interpreting that TLT is that the Trump admin's doing the right things. Here's what I think it tells you. I think it actually tells you that the market, and let me just pull it up over here. I think it tells you that the market is starting to go, hey, maybe we'll be able to trust the U.S. bond market in the future. And maybe that inflation isn't the primary issue that we have to worry about. Maybe one of the primary issues is that we're going to see a deflationary environment where things start to slow down. And so I've shown over here, over a period of a year, how high this thing can run, so like 50%. And this was before the worst bond market rout in history, 40%. 36%, 60% over here, right? After the COVID stuff, from October of 2018 over to the peak over here in March of 2020. So that was less than a year and a half, and we ran 60% in the bond market. So it's not crazy to think that this thing could run 30% or more, or even run up to like the .618 at 143. Which from where we're at right now, let me just see what that would be. I think that's close to 60. That's a little under 60 right now. So, but again, the numbers I'm looking at could give me 10x to 11x. So I could be looking at 600% or 7x gains on TLT from where I'm at with over $500,000 in it right now with this kind of move. So that would be a good move. That would be $3 million. So I like, and the 10 years rolling over, and hopefully it should continue to do that. I like this. I like that the market thinks that this right now we're in a deflationary environment, and I don't want to sell more TLT, even to buy the dip right now. I just don't want to. I'm probably just going to sit. And enjoy life. Go out and touch grass. I think that's my goal for this one. But I do think TLT can be a massive savior because, again, if I can get 600%, for me, that's over $3 million. So if it did that alone, that would make up for all the losses that I have in everything else easily. Just this one thing. And that would give me massive dip buying ability in case the market continues to go down for whatever reasons. And MicroStrategy is dropping hard. I think all the crypto stuff is. It all looks, the weekly too on crypto bubbles just looks butchered. There's a few high flyers still in here, but I mean, look at the monthly on this. Ignore the couple of green ones. Trump down 55%, Pepe 47, Gala 42, AVAX 45, Algo 45, Sand 47, Render 51%. These are all the big things that people were excited about. Virtual 58%. All the AI coins too, just getting butchered. So these things are down over 50%, in some cases worse. Ray down 69% in a period of a month. Just a month. Not from the high, just a month. So the entirety of the Bitcoin and crypto markets right now are getting butchered. Absolutely butchered. Not a good look. Let's see here. What is doing well right now? So we got Biddy. So if you're shorting Bitcoin, we got the VIX continuing to climb close to 20. We got Baba, of all things, which is insane. We got Neo doing well today. So the Chinese play is definitely big. And I saw an article, too, talking about how Jensen Huang was going to host some I don't know, some AI thing in China, I think it was. So people are still very excited about China, it looks like. Trump coin getting a little bit of a bounce, but again, been brutalized over the last month with all this other stuff. So not a good looking day. BitDeer, again, BitDeer, 20% in a day for a miner. I don't know what their news is. Maybe they had something come up, but it looks painful. Metaplanet bought more, yeah, like 153 or 135 Bitcoin, but that doesn't do much for the markets today as they bleed out. Let's see what we're doing on the CNN fear and greed and the crypto fear and greed. So we did hit extreme fear. Okay, so again, if NVIDIA does bad, we'll get even further into this. Then I'd probably look at that as another dip buying opportunity. Yeah, Neo, the death spiral company, is up 2% today. So you know the world's upside down when that happens. And again, so we've got extreme fear in both the crypto and the stock market. So again, if you want to buy. I'm just going to hold off a little bit longer because I've already bought so heavily. I'm just going to sit back and relax and watch this play out, I think, right now. I don't want to waste my TLT. I've already done too much. Let's see here. So 9 o'clock, we get our next round of data. That's happening in 6 minutes. So we'll see what happens there. I might hop over to CNBC just for a second and see what they're doing while I look to see if there's any new news. If you guys have any articles that are out there about anything, please let me know. Maybe because of ETH? Yeah, maybe. 20% is just such a huge decline. What does ETH drop today? 2 major crypto exchanges. Yeah, that's probably it. With their ETH holdings, that could be it. 2 major crypto. I know about Bybit. Which one are you talking about, Dario? Which major exchange? Let me know. I'm going to turn on some volume here in case this comes back. Tesla down 5.2% today with all the good news that it's had. Just insane. Insane. Oh, God, I have such temptation to spend some TLT. Looks like the calls are up 7% today, which is good. Yeah, MicroStrategy's down almost 9%. Oh, dude, if we keep dropping as hard as we are, I might have to sell more TLT, and it pisses me off. I don't want to. I'm going to wait, though. I'm waiting for a washout. Yeah. Yeah, HIMS is down 25% today. Jesus. Clean Spark better hold at 8 today. Might be the end. Dude, it's all dropping so hard. The whole market is just like there's going to be a lot of pain today. All right, let's see. Do we have the markets? Let me see. CNBC coming back.
Barclays. This is the stock. If it can hold
1 sec.
the
I'm going to check a
line,
few things while this is talking.
then you know that things are finally bottoming and the 10-year is telling the truth. That's the one to watch because that is the most. They have the most clarity. They have the most transparency, and if that holds, then the sell-off's over.
Yeah, we actually might get a negative spread on 3-month 10-year.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's been a while.
Look, I mean, I keep thinking about what you said about the Mag 7 and their ability to be able to affect spending. If that's the case, look, the Fed is one. Austin Goolsbee, whom I really, really like, he's been waffling. I wish he went the other way because I think the data says that he would have been right.
Sorry, I'm going
to
mute this. So Hagel's Invest says, can you elaborate on the consideration to sell TLT where you expect a 6x for things that drop heavy today? Is that the short term? Yeah, so, I mean, again, you got HIMS down 25% today. You've got MicroStrategy down 8.5%. You have TLT up about my 100 strike is up 8% on the day. So I've got an asset that's up 8%, but I've got investments for like MSTX that I could buy down 17% on the day. So it's just a matter of trying to balance that. I don't know that I want to go too heavy though selling my TLT today, just in case things get weird and we have just more pain and suffering. I've already leveraged into this market pretty good. If I miss one dip buying day, I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's going to change my portfolio that much. So it's just a matter of I'm probably going to sit back and just sit on that money for now and see what happens. But if the dippity dip gets too good, I might have to devote a little bit of capital towards it. Trying not to. But it looks like I can sell some of it up 9% on the day for TLT. So it's just like, it's annoying. But part of me wants to do it. The other part doesn't. That's it. Do you have a price target on when you would entirely move out of MSTX? For upside or down? I'd just keep buying it on down. For upside, I'm not even thinking about it. I just look at MicroStrategy. And I didn't, somebody said earlier, like, said, why were you buying MSTR and not, and yesterday? I wasn't. I sold MSTR yesterday and bought MSTX. And other things. Cypher mining down 15%. Ouch. So the small miners are really getting fucked. Iron's down 9. I don't even know what CleanSpark's at right now. Let's just dial down the line here. So we're looking at TLT being up 1.33. Again, I'm probably just going to let that ride for a minute. CleanSpark's down 7.6%. So again, just seeing crazy drops. I'm probably going to let this one overshoot before I add more. Maybe even into the 6s if it could get that far. Let's see. Let's just move over. Yeah, I mean, this could be a good day to buy, though. We are in extreme fear. It's going to be hard. I got to figure it out. We are down 70% essentially right now in 3 months. Bitcoin is at 87, looking to crack under 87. I think what I'm doing right now, I'm probably going to end up selling some TLT because it's up almost 10% right now. But I'm going to wait. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to look for peak fear, and then I'm going to try and step in because it seems like a lot of these things are starting to get pretty fearful. But I think if Bitcoin does a real strong wick down to the 200, when we get into the low 80s, then I'm getting interested. Then I'll probably scalp off some of that TLT because it'll be up a lot if that happens. And then I'll start buying. I might do the MSTR for MSTX. I did that yesterday. I don't want to do it too quickly. You don't want to blow your load. You know what I mean? Again, Solana down 4.5%. Solana at 135. I wonder how James feels about that. This thing was at 297 a little over a month ago. 297 to 135. Solana has been brutalized. All of my crypto holdings, which I'm heavy into, are looking brutal. Nautilus, TLT looks great now. The only thing is if the foin to close the gap is if, I'm sorry, what? Maybe you got a typo there, or I'm tripping. Sailor making a McDonald's joke on X. What is he doing? Oh, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's very Michael Saylor. So yeah, we're seeing some drops today, guys. Oh, I want to buy the dip. We got 9 o'clock data coming out. Let's see what this does. This is either going to dip us more. Oh, it did come out. Richmond Fed Index 6. So that's better than consensus and forecast of -3 and -1. Richmond Fed Manufacturing Shipments 12, better than -4. Richmond Fed Services 11, better than 7. All this data is really good, dude. It's really good. Fuck. You guys are making me want to buy more shit. God, these TLTs are like up to even higher numbers now. I must set something real quick. So it looks like people are buying TLT like fucking crazy today. Everybody's trying to step into risk today. Everybody. So we'll see. Yeah, it's up. It's up over 10%, almost 11. Makes me almost want to shave off some. But I also don't want to... Yeah, we're in the 86.5 range, guys. We're definitely dropping hard right now. Hard. I'm just going to let this keep happening. Sorry, I'm just kind of watching all this. So 86.7. Might sell just a smidge. Just a smidge. I'm up like 10, 11%. I might sell just a smidge here, maybe like 28, 30K of my TLT. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe not. Ooh. Yeah, so 86. We'll see. We're definitely... We could do this wick underneath and then start to pull higher thing. Oh, hey, let's see what's... we got Rick Santelli talking real quick. Let's see what he's having to say. 1 second.
Present situation, significantly down. Headline confidence coming in at 98.3. That's February from the Conference Board. We're expecting a number over 102. Sequentially, significantly lower than 105.3 in the rearview mirror. And it is the lightest level going back to June.
I want to be clear on confidence. I would argue, real quickly, guys, that it kind of makes sense that consumer confidence is lower right now with, again, all the threat of tariffs, all the layoffs across the federal government, all the negativity around Elon and Tesla and just all this stuff. Again, and it's just the Q1. The Q1 is going to be weaker before we get a stronger Q2. So I think this is normal.
Of last year. Now, if we look at present situation, a bit of a different story. At 136.5, it's a little better than expected, and it's better than what was in the rearview mirror. But we see a revision. Last month moves from 134 and change to 139.9. So once again, it becomes sequentially lower. If we look at what lies ahead in form of expectations, 82.2 in the rearview mirror, which makes 72.9 the weakest level since June of 24. Now, Richmond Fed, the manufacturing index, I thought we'd be looking at 16 consecutive negative months in a row. Not to be. We got a positive number here. Moves up to 6. That's the best level going back to, wow, April of 22. April of 22. And if we look at Richmond Fed business conditions or the service side, positive one, a bit of a disappointment, but it is the 4th consecutive positive number in a row. We see that the stock market, of course, moving lower on this, interest rates moving lower.
MicroStrategy's down 10%.
We can say that the slowing economy is the reason for interest rates moving down, but many are saying it's a flight to safety, a safe harbor trade, which is really ironic because if uncertainty is the reason the equity markets are moving lower, why should there be any less uncertainty in the future of treasuries, the types of issuance, or the debt? So, at least at this point, the old rules on treasuries seem to be working. Whenever there's nervousness ongoing in equities, seems like the best hedge.
We'll see. I might sell some
is
TLT.
Buying treasuries. Sarah, back to you.
Waiting to see if a contract
okay,
is
Rick,
filled
thank
here.
you very much, Rick Santelli. I think one thing is for sure, this market has moved pretty quickly from worrying about inflation to worrying about growth. And you see that reflected in the bond market as well, down to, look, below 4.3 on the 10-year. It is somewhat good news for the overall economy, though, to get buying of bonds because we've had rate pressures. Mortgage rates have been super high. We've felt it in the auto loans and everything else. That's why we know that the Treasury Secretary wants lower rates. Well, guess what? We have a growth scare, and that's what they're getting right now. I don't think the consumer confidence numbers help in light of the University of Michigan consumer confidence numbers, which also were worse than expected. Just to get it kind of confirmed in 2 different releases does make you wonder about whether that uncertainty is creeping into the minds of consumers.
Yeah, we talked with Drew Mattis yesterday in the 11 about average work week, and it was yesterday's print, but Dallas Fed work week is a new cycle low, thanks Lizanne Saunders.
Jesus,
so we're going to start to put all these things together and try to create some narrative strengths.
And the point there on work week and hours worked is that companies just hoarded so many workers because the labor market was so tight, and now they don't have as much to do with them, so layoffs could come next. Haven't seen that in the jobless claims numbers yet, but it's something economists are on guard for. We have that, and we have tariffs, and the tariffs creating the uncertainty. And here's what President Trump said yesterday about more tariffs coming soon.
We're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico.
So signaling that those 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico, despite the fact that they were delayed and are being negotiated, he says are on time, same as the reciprocal tariffs. You know, the market, the dollar's weaker today, so you're not seeing the sort of panic moves that you've seen before when he has said that tariffs are coming. Maybe they think that there's room to negotiate. Maybe it's more of a growth concern than it is an inflationary concern. Either way, there's also, you know, this idea that companies have been preparing for it. Katie Huberty of Morgan Stanley, kind of research there, put out a great chart showing that toward the end of last year, companies were stockpiling on imports. The blue line is November, December. The yellow line is October. So as President Trump started talking, or at that point, incoming President Trump was talking about tariffs, and they started realizing that this was going to happen, they really started hoarding
One
imports,
sec, I'm kind of
right,
looking
to get
at
ahead of those tariffs
buys
so they
right
wouldn't
now.
have
I
to
did
pay
have
more.
some of my
Inventory
TLT
levels
sell
are
at a
very
pretty good
elevated.
price, up 11%,
That's only to
so-
say that perhaps that can alleviate some of
Small
the
amount.
near-term pressure on prices, excuse me, that people are expecting as a result of tariffs.
Is it making, is it disguising weakness in GDP, at least in the current trackers?
I mean, it could be, right? Higher inventory levels, right. I mean, distort it, right? And then you would expect to give back a little bit later. So that's definitely a factor. It could also be distorting it in the way of boosting imports, which goes into the trade number, right? But ultimately, the question is, are we going to see higher prices? Are we going to see demand destruction as a result of some of these tariffs if consumers, react to it? One thing's for sure, foreign central banks and foreign governments are watching carefully. Bank of Korea was the latest. They cut rates overnight. They sharply downgraded economic growth from 1.9 to 1.5% for their economy. And guess why? Exports and domestic demand face heightened downward pressures due to U.S. tariff policies and domestic political uncertainty. So our central bank won't talk about tariffs, but other central banks around the world are talking about tariffs.
Treasury
You look at an
Dissent says
export
US
economy
is
like
brittle
Korea,
underneath
this stuff
due
really
to excessive
matters.
spending by Biden administration.
Got some headlines
Yeah, that's
from
not
Bessent,
too
actually.
crazy.
Have you seen these, Sarah, just hitting? Treasury Secretary Bessent says the U.S. economy is brittle underneath due to excessive spending by the Biden administration.
Which is what we were saying with Jim a little bit ago.
Yeah.
He wants to basically re-privatize some elements of the economy that were subsumed, he would argue, by the federal
That's
government
good, though.
under the Biden years.
Exactly. Concentrated
probably
in
a good
government adjacent sectors in terms of job growth. Goes on to say, Carl, something you talked about as well, though, that data suggests financial health is concentrated at the top of the economic spectrum.
And we must swap economic growth from the government to the private sector, which is certainly something they're doing, at least on the jobs front, when it comes to DOGE and some of the cuts they're doing there. Besides tariffs, as far as how the underlying economy is really doing, I mean, Home Depot talked about tariffs a little bit. They said there obviously a lot of discussion on what rates would be and when countries would be impacted and what categories of goods. We've been through that before, and I think we have the best team to manage through any tariff environment, which would impact the industry broadly, I'd say. Our diversification efforts out of certain concentrations and countries has been quite good over the last 6 or 7 years. So that was that companies are trying to figure out new sources on supply chain. They're trying to mitigate this. I think that's been the message.
I'd
But
say
they
it's a
haven't
pretty
necessarily
negative
priced it
day
into what
today
it's
in
going to mean
markets.
for
What do you guys
earnings at this
think?
point.
All right, we touched on a bit of Washington. Let's get
Probably a
it
good
to
opportunity to
Washington
buy.
in full. The Trump administration reportedly considering tighter export controls on chips
Or just
to
walk away.
China. Damon Jabbers
One of
and
the two.
Christina Partsinevelos have the details for us and potentially what the fallout would be. Eamon, let's start with you.
Hey there, David. That's right. Bloomberg is reporting today that the Trump administration is eyeing even tougher restrictions on semiconductor exports to China than the recent Biden administration had put in place, and those were seen as tough at the time. Citing people familiar with the matter, Bloomberg reports that the Trump administration officials are holding meetings now to discuss new limits with key U.S. allies and working on a longer list of restrictions that could be put in place in the coming months. Now, the goal here is to slow China's overall technological progress, and especially so in sensitive areas like artificial intelligence. The Trump team is looking at 3 specific possibilities: curbs on sales of chips that NVIDIA designed specifically for China, reducing the computing power that can be exported without a license, and putting more restrictions on types of NVIDIA chips that can be exported without a license. Meanwhile, in a press event yesterday, you guys were talking about this with French President Emmanuel Macron. President Trump said he is on track to reimpose tariffs on Canada and Mexico after the 30-day pause that he put in place comes to an end.
We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico. We've been taken advantage of. The tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule. This is an abuse that took place for many, many years.
Now, under the terms of the pause, the new deadline is March 4th at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll see what happens then, guys. You saw the president announce these tariffs, then he announced a pause in the tariffs. Now he's announcing that things might come back at that deadline time. We'll see where we go when we get there. The president likes to keep a lot of these balls as live balls in the air so he can continue negotiations. We just saw a headline from the Mexican President Sheinbaum in the past hour saying that she continues to negotiate and she's hoping for a favorable outcome there. So clearly this is a moving target, even though we have that soundbite from the president yesterday, guys.
I mean, it raises the question, Eamon, about why he wants to go forward on tariffs. Is it to get the concessions, for instance, the troops along the Mexican border, which it sounded like they were ready to make a deal with, or does he want to use it to raise revenues, which he's talked about before, to help fight off the deficit?
Well, he's said several different things, right? One is that he wants, the Mexican and Canadian governments to help in the fight against fentanyl. The other is that he wants it to help in terms of lowering the deficit, as you say. The other is that he said that he wants to use tariffs in order to increase U.S. manufacturing and just protect American industry. All three of those goals are somewhat mutually inconsistent. The president cited all of them in the reason why he likes the tariffs. He likes the idea
I did end
of
up
tariffs,
selling
but
about
when he gets
50%.
close to that deadline, there's always a pause, there's always an
50,
extension, there's always a study
so not
to
a crazy
be conducted.
Amount, 10% of my
because
TLT.
I know that the president watches the stock market very carefully, and he doesn't want to spark any kind of negative reaction there as well. So he wants to have his cake and eat it too, and that's tricky to do.
Eamon, we'll talk in a little bit. Lots to talk about regarding the budget as well today in D.C., Eamon Javers. And we'll talk more tariffs this morning with White House Senior Counselor for Trade and Manufacturing, Peter Navarro, in the next hour. Meantime, Christina Partsenevelos with more on today's stock reaction. Morning, Christina.
Good morning. Well, those looming U.S. restrictions you just talked about are expected to keep NVIDIA's guidance in check since they would tighten measures on GPU, or we can call them AI, chip sales to China. Morgan Stanley, just one example of sell-side research that bets NVIDIA's April Q1 guidance may not be as grand as everyone hoped, but should still move up at least an average of $2 billion, so not bad. And that's because NVIDIA still sells export-compliant AI chips to China. They're called the H20s. The success of China's DeepSeek large language model has caused really a surge in H20 orders just over the last month for customers like Tencent and Alibaba. The assumption, though, and this assumption has been going on for a while, that's why this may not necessarily be new news, is that these chips would be the next to be restricted, which explains why NVIDIA has been so vocal about the potential damage, saying, quote, in a blog post, these rules would do nothing to enhance U.S. security. The administration worries China, though, has been circumventing the rules that are already in place, going through Singapore or buying on the secondary market. It's hard to stop when a quick eBay search, which I did this morning, will show NVIDIA Hoppers that you're seeing on your screen selling at about $29,000 a piece. NVIDIA has a relatively low exposure to China at around 15% of revenues, according to IO Fund, similar to both AMD and Micron. But equipment manufacturers, they're the ones that have greater exposure. Almost half of ASML's business goes to China. Lam and Applied Materials also face significant risk, which really makes the administration's efforts to contain China's AI ambitions a real high-stakes game with billions hanging in the balance. But none of this is expected to be imminent in, let's say, the next month or so. Guys.
Was DeepSeek revealing in any way? Obviously, the point of all of these policies have been to prevent China from having the advanced semiconductor capabilities and AI and military in particular. But I know DeepSeek was a big wake-up call in terms of cost.
Right,
what about in terms of technological capability of these Chinese?
Well, yeah, that's why we're seeing this Russian order for H20s, because DeepSeek was able to provide advanced compute with, I'm not going to say lower quality because the H20s have great memory, but a more watered-down version that is compliant. So now that would be the next target for the Trump administration because, hey, look, China was able to be really successful with this lower-tier chip. So they're just going to keep doing it, but that's also encouraging the Chinese market to create, to go overcome these hurdles, right? And make quality chips and make advanced large language models with what's available at the moment.
Got it, Christina, thank you. For the moment, we're seeing a lot of pressure on these semis, dragging the entire NASDAQ down. NVIDIA at the bottom of the list, Broadcom down there as well. As we head to break, here's our roadmap for the rest of the hour. Home Depot posting positive comp store sales after 8 straight quarters of declines. How to play the stock from here.
Plus, software stocks such as Palantir, they've been on a big rally, at least they did to start the year. But that breakout has been fading fast.
Right, so I think I might have sold at like 60,000. I don't know. It's like my TLT.
Recently, is the bullish narrative starting to change?
There's this concept about a cornucopia where it just continually refills. Look it up. But I feel like that right now with TLT because I essentially have this roughly the same amount of TLT that I had at the start of the day, even though I think I sold like 70K worth or something. So it's like, I don't know. It's a beautiful world right now in regard to that. But it looks like Tesla calls. I've got some calls that are down over 13% that I'm looking to buy. Again, market's just bleeding today. My portfolio probably looks fucking horrible, but I don't care. We're buying the dip. And again, I still have almost $500,000 in TLT, so I'll just keep using that as we go lower. 79.50. Yeah, so I bought some Tesla down almost 13%, I think, on the day, and I'm looking to get some that's down 13.5 off of selling TLT that was up almost 10, I think, or no, over 10. Right now, the TLT I sold was around almost 11% up on the day, and then I was able to buy Tesla down over 13%, closer to 14% now. I've still got 2 open, and then ARC-G down like, I don't know, another 13 or 14%, and then CleanSpark down 17%. So it's just crazy. All these things are getting butchered. So I'm liking the positioning. Let me show you what I did. Let me just do the executed here. Sorry. It's hard to, like, right now markets are so chaotic, and I'm trying to relay what's going on with you guys, but also work on my own best interest too, and doing some buying. So let me post this real quick to everybody. All right, sold about 70,000 in TLT, still sitting on almost 500,000. Bought. I should say this. Up about 11% on the day. Bought Tesla down, what, 12? 11, 12? Or I should say 12%, I think. 12% on the day. Sorry, these numbers, it's like I'm trying to get them as close as I can to accurate. Bought MSTX down over 20% on the day. Bought CleanSpark down 14%. Lots of redundancy there. Probably could do this with less words. Yeah, I think that's right. Let me just go back over here and see what we're at for Tesla. Is it possible to check toast? Is toast, or is it doing good? Yeah, I can check. Just give me a sec. It's all about NVIDIA guidance tomorrow. I 100% agree. So Tesla's down. No, 13. I was down on average 13% plus. Down 20% plus. I mean, these are good dips, man. As long as these things are coming back around. Selling something that's up 11% and then buying stuff that's down 13 to 20% is usually pretty good. I'm going to put this on subs only, and then I got to get this on the Discord. So just give me 1 second. And this, I probably won't plan on doing a lot more buying, guys, unless things get really fucking crazy. If things get really crazy and TLT goes up like a ton and the markets keep melting down, then I might keep chipping some off and buying more. But for now, I'm going to just try and be conservative and sit back. And you don't want to, just like you don't want to freak out and sell everything at the wrong time, you also don't want to freak out and buy everything at the wrong time. So I'm going to try and be slow. I've already been really aggressive on my buying. So we're going to be cautious and just kind of let things play out. And I did lock in some lower prices. So I got Tesla as low as 14% on my second round. So again, over 13% down on the day. And I think dialing into leverage right now is the appropriate time. I just want to do it slowly so that my overall cost basis is better. But yeah, guys, I got to say this. I think TLT is turning out exactly how we wanted. Everything's down, dude. Everything's down. AMD's down? Yes, everything's down. Toast, sure, we can look at it. But what I like looking at today is TLT, because look at how much further this thing can go. And keep in mind that today, TLT is up 1.58% today, like the actual basis, right? Like 1.58%. My underlying contracts on average right now with what they're going for, it's dropped a little bit. So it's only up about 9% between the two, but that fluctuates. So TLT up 9% on a day when it's only up 1.59 is good. So if you're getting a 5x, that's a good start. Like I said, it can do 5 to 11. So if TLT, should I buy TLT or wait? I don't know. Because here's the thing. Tomorrow, if NVIDIA does really good, probably a good time to buy TLT. But if NVIDIA doesn't do good tomorrow, right now, probably a good time to have exposure to TLT. Here's what I can tell you. It's still down 49% from where it was at the top in 2020. So, and it's the worst route in history. And you can get 5 to 11x the underlying. So the fact that I think that it still has anywhere from like 57 to, more conservatively, 31% upside, if you're getting 10x off of that, that's 300% in gains. This to me is the ultimate hedge right now, because I think the downside risk is deflation, not inflation. So I think that this is a good investment right now, personally. And it's treating me really good today, just like it was yesterday, just like it was the day before that on Friday. So for 3 days now, I've had dip buying ability because of TLT. Thank you, TLT. And I'm wrong. I'm actually closer to 450 right now, 450K. So I probably won't shave off much more today unless there's a major move. Because, again, I want that extra 10% a day from this if it starts to trickle up. Where do you think you get the biggest bang for your buck today? Oh, God, it's so hard to know. It's so hard to know. Those Tesla calls, if you're looking at leaps, the Tesla calls down 13, 14% today is a good one, but it can go lower. MSTX is down 22% today. One could argue that that's a good one. I guess I still have $30,000 left to spend. That's probably why I only have 450. I actually sold more contracts than I thought I did. I have 35,000 more to spend. So whoopsie. But maybe I should spend some of that. But yeah, so I think there's opportunity in the markets, man. But like, honestly, if any of this stuff is coming back, you could just start buying. If you think that MicroStrategy is coming back, I strongly do. You could start buying. Is your TLT your top pick, followed by MSTR Tesla? TLT is my top pick as far as safety on days like today. Future pick on what can do better, it depends on how far we follow or how far we fall. Today I'm probably down 400,000. It's a steep drop. I'm right around 4 million, man. So this last week has been brutal. Whether it's crypto, whether it's Bitcoin or miners, and all their proxies, that made up the majority of my portfolio. That has been brutal. And then at the same time, you have Tesla getting just butchered. That has been brutal. So I'm not doing so good right now, but these are also times that I specialize in. This is what I do. AMD or 1 year leaps down 20% this week. Everybody was buying them because you got to remember, everybody was saying, guys, AMD's the next big one to pump. And so when people say that, everybody jumps into the leaps. And then if it doesn't pump, what happens? Butchered. And right now, it looks like it's falling off a cliff. AMD is actually breaking down to a fairly dangerous zone. But again, this could be the last of it too, so it's hard to know. But like, this is pretty rough, and I should get rid of this because this isn't the extension now. So this is definitely not an extension. Let's look at AMD in regard to how far it can fall. So we'll do the retracement real quick. And what do we have for timing? We're 4 minutes away, guys, from we're 4 minutes away. Yeah, so look at this. So we're breaking down out of this falling like wedge type structure. And now this is support down here. Like it could be maybe here in the 90s, or it could be down here at the next fib level at 91. But this has been a catastrophic drop for AMD too. I mean, I kind of feel bad. It's 54% since it started falling. Is that right? That's a little high, I think. Let me adjust that. It's since it started following in March. So this has been like a Bitcoin miner. It's fucking painful. I lost over 50% of my savings. I believe it, man. You have to have a long-term vision if you're investing. It's just the way it is. It can be very painful over the short term. Very, very painful. So let me see here. Hood's down 10% today, guys. Hood. Fucking Hood. That's crazy. Somebody started to buy up Tesla calls, though, I think, because they're creeping higher. Oh, no. That's just no, it's delayed. There's some that are still really low. 77.30. Getting really low on some of these. I'm going to maybe put in an order for a few more. Let me see here. People are just selling all of their calls on Tesla right now. They're just dumping them hard. So I'm going to pick them up. I just got them. 77.20. What is 77.20? I think I just got Tesla calls down 15%. That's crazy to me. Let me see. Do I want to do any more ARKG? Do I really want to touch that right now? It's down. Let me refresh. What about ARKG? I was just looking at it, actually. I might pick different calls, though. I don't know. I got to see. I might try something separate with that. Let me see here. 100. I might try a different range. Just all depends. So what are we at right now for those calls? 25. I'm worried about Tesla gaps. Feels like we could be diving close to one. Yeah, we could. We could dive hard. 215 seems a bit extreme. I don't think that's going to happen. Let me go back here. Yeah, we can definitely dive. Tesla can dive. 215. That sounds a little deep. Yeah, I don't think that's possible. I mean, there's a gap. Could we, in an extreme situation, go down to 230 and close part of a gap and close all of this one? Yes, we could. That can happen. And just remember this, guys. Remember this. Remember how excited and how everybody was. There were people asking me why I was out of calls over here. And then they were asking me when we dropped down over here why I wasn't buying 400 or higher for my strike price for my calls, why I wasn't in 600 calls. In case you were wondering, today is a good example of why I wasn't in 600 calls and why I reduced my leverage up here. There was a reason for it. TLT's up 1.6 today, guys. We'll see how high the calls get. They seem to be a little delayed. The 100s are sitting at close to 10%. Oh, you know what, though? My screen doesn't always update. They could be sitting a lot better. Would you sell Tesla shares to buy calls at these levels? I don't know your position, but yeah, you could start to do that. I mean, as long as you're being conservative, right? And as long as you know what you're doing, then yes, you could totally do that. But again, I think the key note on that is being conservative and knowing what you're doing. Be both those things. But today is one of those days where you're getting extreme fear. So like, this is a good day. If you're going to take on additional risk, you do it in extreme fear. How many contracts did you buy today for Tesla? I just got 2 more at 77.20, which is down like 15%, I think, on the day. I got 2 at 78.10, and I got 2 at 79.70. So my average is probably in the 78s. And I got 6 contracts, it looks like, today. So that's a decent number. But again, I'm not looking to blow my whole load. I still have 20,000 left. So I got to figure out where I want to put it. I don't know. Got to see. Where is CleanSpark? Did I buy any CleanSpark? I did buy CleanSpark. Let me see where it's at. That was down 17%. So I guess I got a better deal than I thought I was going to. Sell some Bitcoin for MSTR? Maybe. But again, dude, this is totally like up to you, man. It's totally up to you. You guys do you. There's, again, we just don't know the environment that we're 100% in. This is usually a very safe zone to buy. But just be careful. Again, applying some leverage today to get yourself in a better position for tomorrow, not a bad deal, especially as far as things have dropped. And if you have not used any, then today is not a bad day for that, but just be cautious. Today is also a day that could just fucking wreck you. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that. Owning into today is a day that could wreck you. Today actually is the day that'll wreck you. We are probably pretty near peak bottoms here. So you might be all right. Let's see. I don't care at all. Okay. I'm 75% BTC and 25. Oh yeah, no, that's good. That's a good position to be in. If you're 75% BTC, like no leverage whatsoever, that's a great place to be in. So you could apply some leverage there, in my opinion. But I'm just a dropout, so take it for what it's worth. Yeah, I did get Tesla down over 14% on the day. Do you think the market has been dropping since you sold everything at the start of the year? No, I didn't sell everything, man. No, I didn't sell everything. I did sell with Tesla. I did sell, again, almost all my position near the top for calls, which I'm very happy about because I'd be totally wrecked if I didn't do that. I'm already fairly wrecked, but I'd be totally wrecked. And again, I've been dialing into this pain, but days where MSTX is down 23% are fairly painful, even for me. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. It's just I'm very conditioned to being able to handle the pain. Very conditioned. So it is what it is. MSTR falling knife. It definitely is. And it's kind of a beautiful falling knife because it's getting closer to the bottom. I hesitate to buy more right now because I want to wait. But if you look here, we're getting real close to that 200 moving average. I feel sick and like puking right now. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll happen. MSTX down 24%. I might actually just buy a little bit. I might buy just a little bit. How much is this? I still got 20K I haven't spent. Yeah, I'm just gonna nibble. Just gonna nibble. But yeah, it's a pretty rough day. I think I'm down $450,000 today. So pretty rough day for me too. Probably sub 4 million right now. So not fun at all. I did sell 2% of BTC for MSTR. Cool, Jacob. Hope it works out. Carnage, total carnage. Yeah, down 18%, laughing my ass off. Is that across your portfolio? Ouch. I tell you what, man, TLT, oh, such a godsend right now. Yeah, Blue Sky, dude, TLT is saving my ass, bro. At least I have something that's making money. What was the economic data at 9:30? Oh, did I miss it? Is that what's driving us down more? Dallas Fed, 4.6. So we got mixed data. So Richmond Fed, really good. Dallas Fed, 4.6 for services versus 9. Dallas Fed services revenues, 8.2 versus 7. So the revenue index did good. The services did meh. So we're getting a lot of mixed data right now, which probably isn't helping things. Jesse, don't you want to wait to see if NVIDIA misses before you're making so many heavy buys? I'm not making that heavy of buys. Again, I've got over $400,000 in TLT, which is up 10% today. And it's probably going to continue to go up. So I'm just nibbling. Man. I ain't doing anything too crazy. Jesse, do you think miners are still good, give good returns in this bull market? Yes, as long as Bitcoin goes up. As long as Bitcoin goes up. But again, I've been reevaluating for a while because I'm in MSTR too. I'm in BITX, which is a 2x play on Bitcoin. And I'm in ARKG. I'm in again, CleanSpark I'm in, but I'm in TLT. I'm in Tesla. I've got a lot of asymmetric plays right now. DLO, if it ever turns around. That actually, the stock has been going up, but the market's been so brutal, it's just driving everything down. But so I'm in a lot of different asymmetric bets right now. NVIDIA is starting to show green candle, turnaround signal. Maybe. Could be. Iron is down 14.22%, guys. That is just an absolute shit show. Wow. Wow. I might actually even just buy a little bit of that. Maybe get 150 shares. Just nibble. What is that, $1,000? I feel like I should do more than $1,000. Let's do $450. Yeah, so no, man, I'm taking it pretty slow. I mean, my average on things down today is probably like right now for purchases, maybe 13 to 14. No, it's more than that because I bought MSTX down over 20. So my average down for the day that I'm buying things is stupid low. It's very, very low. So it's probably like, I don't know, 16% on average are the things that I bought down today. 16% down off of something that was 10% up. Today, billionaires are made? Some. Today isn't the day they're made. Well, I mean, it's the day they're started, right? NVIDIA's down 3%, so I don't know what you meant by it's bouncing. I mean, it's still not doing great. All right, let me see here. Hood's down 10% still. Wow, just a butchering of a day. I want to see what they're saying on CNBC, and then probably in a little bit I'm going to go because I still got to work out and focus on my life. Please check toast. I can check toast. You want toast? We want toast. Everything's down. Jesus Christ, everything's down. All right, let's go over here. Toast. SoFi down 6%. That's not bad today. TOST. What are you guys? How are you guys measuring a green candle? I mean, toast looks like a double top. It could go down to 31 pretty easily. I don't know. I wouldn't be super excited to buy here because you got bearish divergence on the RSI that started in November. And I don't know. So toast doesn't look super great. If you deserve 100% up, you sure deserve 100% down. Yeah, I'd say, well, if you're looking at asymmetric bets, it's more like 50% down for 400% up, right? And you're right, you do deserve it. You have to just, I don't know if you deserve it, but you have to be willing to accept it, right? Yeah, you have to, again, I'm the asymmetric bet guy. So the stuff I'm invested in right now, I think it can return over the next year. I think the things I can return like 300 to 500%. That's what I'm looking at for a lot of my asymmetric bets, and I'm assuming some of them will fail. So I'm saying, hey, you could get 50 to 70% down for the ability to have 300 to 500% up. It's just the way it works. Just the way it works. Tesla continuing to bleed out. Let's see, 77.90. How close are we to getting a bottom on that one? Are we still rooting for Tesla to go 500 end of year? Yeah, I actually think 600. I think 600 by Q1 of next year. That's kind of what I'm thinking for Tessie. That's what I'm thinking for Tessie. Let's see here. Cleansburg. Kyle Wright, $50. Thanks for being here on such a ride. Yeah, that's the only reason I'm sticking around, honestly. It's just to try and be moral support. So I appreciate that, Kyle. Thanks, man. Otherwise, I'd probably be bail by now. I just want to help talk people off a ledge because it's pretty brutal. I mean, CleanSpark's down 11.5% today. BITX, the 2x Bitcoin fund, is down 16%. ARKG is down 5.5%. The options are down 20% just for a second there. I might actually put some stuff in to buy some of those. Let me see here. 100. Yeah, dude, people are going crazy low on these options. I'm going to look at buying some of these. Oh, I've already got, it's right at my contract level. Let me do 80 here. Yeah, hey, see you, man. Have a good day, Blue Sky. All right, I'm just going to put in one contract here. So, guys, I think we've seen the worst of the pain for today. It could go lower. You never know. It can always go lower. But we are down. We did hit on Bitcoin. We hit 85 and change. It can go lower than that, but this would be a good spot for it to bounce back from. You don't look at your paper losses, not healthy. Yeah, not today. No, don't focus on, I was talking about some of mine. They're already bouncing back, by the way. I'm probably bounced back $60,000, $70,000. But don't focus on paper losses today. That's not the move. It's not the move. When you're in deep fear and greed, what are we at? 21? What are we even at right now? 21. So we're getting pretty good into the extreme fear. This is the buy zone. Somebody, who was it? Jeremy from whatever his fucking channel is. You know who I'm talking about. Jeremy, I never watch his channel anymore, so I don't know. But he was talking about he asked a question, what's the most undervalued indicator in markets? And I said extreme fear and greed, because on days like today, it's the buy zone. And over here, when you're in extreme greed, it's when you take a lot of money off the table. And then the market most of the time trades into here. But today is definitely the buy zone for stuff like this. It is the buy zone. And yeah, MSTX looks like it's coming back a little bit today. Down 21%. Who knows what ends up happening, if that ends up bouncing back even stronger. But I feel like I got a few. Let me see. I don't even know what I all bought. Let me see here. Archie sitting at 75. That's a pretty good number. I might just cancel that. I'm going to probably cancel that. I'm going to buy. One sec over here. Thanks for opening, and good luck, everyone. Hope we're all buying. Yeah. Hopefully people aren't getting too scared. If you were going to sell it, should have happened before today. I'm just going to say it. Should have happened before today. Today is not the day. I might actually buy a little more MSTX just for shits and giggles. Let's see here. Oh, I got 11,000 in cash is what it's telling me. Not anymore. Let me see here. What else to buy? Yeah, I'll buy a little bit of that. What are we at? 80s? $194. I hate this thing. 194. Let's see what. 3,700 in cash. I'm just going to wipe it out before I go. If you can cover your margin, why not for a long? Oh God, if you could cover, like, I hate margin. There's no point in taking margin if you have money, but if you're just using it as a temporary thing because you don't have cash in your account and you're going to put it in there, then that's okay. But I would never hold margin for any period of time. I think it's super dangerous. So I don't like margin. Just going to throw it out there. Don't love it. Don't love it at all. BTC bouncing, good. I mean, I wouldn't call it a bounce. It could easily get destroyed, but it does appear to be doing something, which is nice. We'll take it. We don't hate that. We'll take anything right now, right? Take anything it'll give us today. But I think that's it for me, guys. I think I'm probably done. Again, today's a day where just focus on the long term. We've talked about it, right? We've talked about the fact that we believe that the Q2 heading into the second half are going to be the good parts. We know all the good stuff about Tesla. We know all the good stuff about the macro economy and what's going to happen with Trump's policies and what's going to happen with the omnibus bill and the reconciliation process. We know that liquidity is supposed to be picking up. We know that China's really going to need to do it. And you're going to eventually see outflows out of China because there just has to be. So this would be the opportunity in my mind that you take advantage of buying the dips and you don't run away. So that's what I did, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I hope you guys have some TLT so that you're able to do that as well. But otherwise, yeah, take it easy. Have a good day. Stay out of trouble. I got to go work out.